on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
And welcome into the Tuesday edition of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Tuesday morning, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Joe, you are in Knoxville. What's going on? How's life?
I am in Knoxville. I covered Tennessee beating Belmont last night. Sarah Puckett, the freshman three-pointer from the corner, Tennessee's first Sweet 16 since 2016. Belmont's first Sweet 16 just missed. Incredible comeback from Belmont. So it was a great game, great atmosphere. Big deal for Tennessee to be here without Jordan Horson, its best player. Also, you got to feel for Belmont. Bart Brooks, that team. Destiny Wells is an unbelievable player. So it was quite a scene.
Yeah, Belmont, big upset over Oregon in round one, and then right on the verge of an upset against Tennessee as well. They were that close to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I mean, and they were down 14 in the third quarter. So, it was kind of like, yeah, they're just not big enough. And, Key and Dye, they're just too big inside. But, man, Tootie Jones and Destiny Wells, sophomores for Belmont, could play anywhere, could play at any level, any team they'd play. They're that good. So that's pretty exciting moving forward for Belmont, but pretty cool. I mean, 2016, Tennessee is now 61-5 in the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. Winningest program ever, 61-5. 4 of those losses have come, in like the last 5 tournaments or the 5 years. Obviously 2020, there was no tournament.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. They never, ever lost. And now they haven't been able to get out of this. So I think Kelly Harper in her third year, I think the job she's done since losing Horson been pretty remarkable.
Yep, absolutely. Michelle, what's going on? How we doing?
Morning, fellas. I'm doing good. Little tired this morning, but I got my coffee. Remember how I told you guys a couple weeks ago I was just gonna try to get off coffee? Yeah, well, that lasted about 5 days, and now I'm full force back into the extra large coffees. I hope my mother isn't listening, but I'm not buying it anymore. I'm making it. So that's
Rexrode's got 2 this morning.
Oh, Rexrode's got 2. I'll just blame you, Rexrode.
Latte. So this place has like a fancy coffee thing. So a latte here, and then a double shot of espresso and a regular coffee here.
You are going full force this morning, Joe.
That's how it's done. What a legend. Joe Rexrode, legend here on the program.
Don't ever quit coffee.
That's right.
Yeah, never again will I ever make that stupid decision.
Yeah. Hey, at least you realized it, right?
Exactly. Also,
took
Robby,
5 days.
Robby, they just made a Coca-Cola coffee, so I think we need to have you try it. It's like in a can, and it's coffee and Coca-Cola. It's like, what would be better? Coffee and Coca-Cola mixed together. I'm like, no.
I don't know.
I mean, that might be something that kills you instantly. Like you may instantly die.
But happy.
Yeah, maybe so. We got a lot to get into today here on the program. Some quarterback movement continues in the NFL, including in the AFC South. We'll get into that coming up a little bit later. The NHL trade deadline has come and gone. Not a ton of moves from the Nashville Predators. Maybe the most headlining move is one they did not make, and one that still has yet to be determined what his future looks like. We'll get to that here in just a few minutes as well. We'll start with the game itself. Joe Rexrode, a 6-3 win last night for the Predators against the Anaheim Ducks. Philip Forsberg, who we'll discuss a lot today on the program, 5 points last night, 2 goals, 3 assists for number 9, including the 2 goals that now put him at 35, which means he has set the single season goal scoring record for the Nashville Predators. He breaks Victor Arvidsson's record. Matt Duchene scores twice last night as well, which means he's at 34. So both those guys have at least tied the record. Forsberg has broken it at this point. Another 2-point night for Roman Josi, which puts him at 77 points in 61 games. He is now 8 away from the single season franchise record for points at 77 with a defenseman. So the Predators get it done again last night. The power play was awesome, and they win 6-3 on the road at Anaheim, and for the moment have surpassed St. Louis for the third spot in the Central Division. Another big win for the Preds last night.
It's like watching like an all-star game or something when they're on the power play last night, like they're just kind of messing around. Yeah, all right, pass it around back and forth. Here we go. Hey, between the legs, why not? Duchesne, you know, you got to do one. Forsberg's done one. Oh, you scored. I'm going to score. Oh, now you score again. Okay, all right. I mean, it's something else. Like, how many times have those guys scored? I know this stat has to be out there somewhere, like in the same game. Like if you like of all their goals, how many of their goals are you know, like independent where one of them scored and the other didn't? You know what I mean? Like
they've scored in the same game a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And then of course they had the whole thing last night with like Saros's equipment and everything and give up a goal. It's like, oh geez, that's a bad scene. You got to put big save Dave in there, you know, and immediately the Ducks score. But it was just like, didn't matter. Forsberg, Duchesne. Crazy.
No, it's unbelievable. And by the way, I don't know how many times this has happened either. All four of us, the listener, you, Michelle, and me, they all get it last night on Preds Pick to Click. Johansson, Duchesne, Forsberg, and Yossi with goals last night. So everybody on the board.
Everybody wins.
Just incredible. I don't know. Like that may have happened once before. I don't know that that's ever happened though.
Not much. I don't remember it, but it could have. But yeah, maybe once.
See, I was happy I got a point just thinking I was, moving up in the standings. And then I was like, oh, well, looks like everybody else did too.
The entire team scored a goal last night. Yes. It's just incredible. I mean, it's funny. Like I was sitting there thinking last night, once the game is over, oh, Yossi, he had 2 points, kind of an off night for him, right? Just a goal and an assist, 77 points in 61 games. Granlund with a couple assists last night. Like they're just playing really well right now. That power play unit in particular is just, it's on a different level. And that's another reason why I look at this team and I think to myself, man, they could keep that power play hot. That'll keep you in a playoff series by itself. You can keep power play going the way it's going right now. But I mean, Duchesne and Forsberg are something else, man. It's that combo right now is, there's been a lot of good combos together in Preds history. I mean, I think of Paul Correa and Steve Sullivan back in the day when they were producing left and right. Obviously the Jofa line when you had, Forsberg and Johansson or Forsberg and Arvidsson, whatever combo you want to use. I don't know that I've seen one in a Predators uniform that's as electric as Duchesne and Forsberg are this year. Like it's magic out there when they're together and when they're on.
Yeah, I mean, 19 goals in 100 games, right? That's Duchesne, I think. Yep. I want to say that, yeah, 19 goals in his first 100 games. Like how's that happen and this happen,
I don't know. It's amazing. It's like it's not even the same player.
Right. And again, he's going to blow away. I mean, this is going to be his best season as a pro. So, you always like there have been postseasons in years past where they've had great offense. I mean, I think Arvidsson's year that he set the record that just got broken. Did he do anything in that postseason? I don't think he did.
No, that was the Dallas year.
Yeah, that was the Dallas year. So, I mean, it does change in the playoffs for sure. So, that's going to be the focal point for whoever they play. But you got to have more confidence because of that. You got to, like you said, the power play alone is humming right now. And, you're even starting to see a little bit, not last night, but, maybe a little bit going on with Tolvanen here and things like that. So, I think there's some good things happening. Of course, other than people being upset now because Philip Forsberg did not get traded.
Johnny on Twitter says, I wish it was possible for a player to get credited for a goal and the assist on the same play because Forsberg should have been credited with both assists that set up his empty netter last night. It was funny. He chipped the puck up. Point. He won the race and he basically passed the puck across the crease over to himself behind the net and then scored. And it's pretty nice empty net goal. Matt Duchene scores a goal in between the legs last night. Forsberg picks a play off on his first goal and basically creates a breakaway for himself. I thought one of the underrated plays tonight on Yossi's goal, Tomasino coming into the zone and like basically putting Anaheim's entire defense on brakes. It was a great pass by him. So offensively, I mean, you've scored 6 goals in both of your last couple of games. Got to be feeling pretty good right now on that side of the puck if you're the Predators. Helps when Philip Forsberg puts up 5 points tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, before he had he swooped back into the offensive zone, picked that off and scored. I mean, he was kind of just toying with them before that too, just kind of cycling on his own. It's pretty ridiculous. And, now it's got a back-to-back out west that you gotta get Big Save Dave right back out there now after he had to work for a few minutes. So big opportunity.
Kyle on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says the Coke coffee is one of the worst things I've ever tasted. It's coming from Kyle on the text line. So somebody has tried this.
It's just, how could it possibly be good?
I still think we need to live stream a Robby Stanley taste test.
Hey,
okay.
I'll do it.
It's fine.
Christina on the text line says Coke with coffee is weirdly excellent. It's how I get through Preds games after teaching all day. # coffee forever. This coming from Christina on the text line. So we have varying opinions.
I guess you'll be the tiebreaker, Robby.
I guess so. We're off and running here today on Robby and Rexrode, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Obviously, Philip Forsberg still a member of the Nashville Predators after putting up 5 points last night. The NHL trade deadline has come and gone. How big of a risk is this for David Poile and the Predators? We'll get into that next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Do you have that one person or thing that just makes you mad? Join us every Friday at noon on the DDC for You Just Made the List. Fueled by Parman Energy. Visit ParmanEnergy.com, your one-stop petroleum solution, and try Star Movie on the DDC on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
You just made the list.
Get a king bed for a queen price at Mattress Firm and save up to $500 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
When you cut lawns for a living, reliability matters. The Kubota commercial lineup with purpose-built mowers like the Z700 Zero Turn, SZ Stand-On, and W-Series Walk-Behind decrease downtime and increase productivity. A comprehensive fleet program with special discounts and free loaners helps grow your business one perfectly manicured lawn at a time. Visit your local Kubota dealer today.
Come see why Coleman Tractor Company is one of the largest Kubota dealers in Middle Tennessee, Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and their new location in White House.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and I'm excited to tell you about my friends at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Spring is here. If your AC or heating unit is old and inefficient, then you need to take advantage of the Spring Hill Spring Special for a limited time only. Save up to $1,000 with Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Get a York unit that lasts with a 10-year parts and labor warranty with up to 60 months no-interest financing on all York units. Restrictions do apply. Schedule now at springhillac.com. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, a York certified comfort expert company.
Did you know that about 80% of new home buyers don't ever shop around for the best mortgage loan? That's a huge mistake. Hey, Willie Donick here. Listen, not all mortgages are created equal, and I'm here to prove it with Loan Pronto. People who use Loan Pronto save on average $3,500 just in closing costs. On top of that, they get a better rate, which saves them thousands more every year. Your banker or agents go to lender. They're fine people, but don't assume they're giving you the best deal. Call Loan Pronto for a quick second opinion or go to loanpronto.com. I'll bet they can get you a better loan, a lower rate, without all those annoying closing costs. What have you got to lose? You compare costs on everything else in your life. Why not do the same with your mortgage? Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hi, it's Rick. I'm at the Smith home. Where's Donnie?
Leaves and autumn bookings pile up for Rick's gutter cleaning service.
He's out? Come on.
He needs help before his bottom line gets clogged.
Okay, well, what about Cristiano? We still got 6 houses today.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with a set of Duralast brake pads. It's also AutoZone's national hiring event. We're hiring all positions, from sales to warehouse and drivers, both part-time and full-time. Visit careers.autozone.com or any one of our stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
On the board, Johansson scales the puck off the wall. Going after it, Forsberg with Fowler. Forsberg gets it, taps it across, and then comes behind the net and puts it home. An empty netter for Nashville to take a 6-3 lead. So Forsberg, with the now Predators club record 35th goal of the year, an empty netter that comes at 17:57.
Record-breaking night last night for Filip Forsberg. He scores his 35th goal of the year, which is now the single-season franchise record for goals in a year, which I think him and Duchesne are both at this point going to end up above 40. So nice start. We've seen this coming from Forsberg and Duchesne for a while now, but Forsberg makes it official last night. Now the single-season goal-scoring record for the Nashville Predators. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio as well here on this Tuesday morning, taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. So the trade deadline has come and gone, and Filip Forsberg, still a member of the Nashville Predators. He has not been signed to a contract extension, and he has not been traded. Joe, this was an outcome that we thought was probably the most likely heading into the trade deadline yesterday, and it played out that way. Didn't really seem like there was ever much seriousness from the Predators in trading Filip Forsberg based on where they are in the standings and how contract negotiations are going, but they have not quite arrived at a deal. So I know some Predators fans, based on my Twitter mentions, were surprised by this yesterday. I was not. I was pretty confident that Filip Forsberg was still going to remain a Predator, and here he is today, a Predator.
Yep. No big surprise. Again, if your GM is trading for other players, then he's probably not going to trade away his best player. Well, maybe I shouldn't call him his best player, his best forward. How about that?
There you go.
So now, plenty of time still to make a deal happen. You know, obviously, it would have been ideal to have the deal done before the trading deadline, so you know you can avoid the daily Ryan Suter mentions. Someone actually tweeted at me some old Poyle quotes from the Ryan Suter time period yesterday, so people are ready on the Ryan Suter front, and that will be a thing until and unless they sign him. But they got time.
They do have time. David Poyle addressed the media yesterday and talked about the decision to hang on to Filip Forsberg and to continue to try to work out a contract with him. Here's what Nashville Predators general manager David Poyle had to say yesterday at his media availability.
Before I ask for questions, and I'm assuming one of your questions might be about Filip Forsberg, we have had continual and constant dialogue with Filip and his agent. And this week we've talked a couple of times. We've actually talked this morning. I met with Filip for a long time last week, about a half hour, and just we went over a lot of things, not just the contract part of it, but just all things that have happened in his career here, and mostly his improvement, and had a few laughs on some of the things that he's done and some of the successes that he's had, and made sure from my standpoint, that the fit was still really good here for him on the ice, off the ice, loves Nashville, all those things, et cetera, and everything, checks the box. And the one thing that we, we're still have to do is work on the contract. But I want to make it, clear to everybody that part wants to be in Nashville. I wouldn't want anybody to think any less of our desire to retain him as a member of the Nashville Predators for the next several seasons because we haven't announced a new contract for him today. We're going to continue to work quietly with Philip and his representative towards a contract that pays him equitably while giving the organization the flexibility to build and maintain a roster to compete for the Stanley Cup.
That was David Poile yesterday at his media availability, his statement about Philip Forsberg and the contract negotiations. So Philip Forsberg's still on the team. It seems to me like Poile is confident that they can get a deal done by the time free agency comes. What did you make of kind of David Poile's explanation there and the decision to hang on to Philip Forsberg?
I guess I don't really find anything too surprising in any of it. It's still, it's just, you're sitting here trying to figure out, so what exactly is the issue? I guess, could you listen to everything and still think that no movement is some kind of a thing? Or maybe I'm just talking myself into that and parsing words that aren't there. I don't know, but it didn't make me feel any different about the expectation I still have, which is that they're going to figure it out. But I guess I didn't come away from that thinking like, oh, they're right on the verge. I mean, somebody's going to have to go ahead and break down on something that they're not breaking down on right now for this to happen. But I mean, if that ends up being Poile, I just can't imagine that ultimately he won't, because you have to. I mean,
and yet now you've kind of painted yourself in a corner here too, right? I knew that they probably weren't going to trade him, but now that you've not traded him, like, he holds all the cards at this point, which is fine. Like, he basically did anyway with the way that he was playing. Like, you're going to have to find a way to get it done if you're the Predators, but now he does hold all the cards. Like, I still think, based on everything we've talked about for months at this point, I think Forsberg wants to be here. I think ultimately a deal is going to get done. I'm interested to see, he talked about continuing, I think quietly was the term that he used to discuss this with Forsberg and his agent. Number one, I wonder exactly what that means as they go down the stretch here. But number two, like, how willing is Forsberg and his agent to continue open dialogue as the playoffs get closer? I wouldn't imagine that it would change all that much because, I mean, Forsberg's played so well all season, and he's been talking about this and worrying about this all season long. It's not affected him one iota on the ice, at least negatively. May have affected him positively on the ice with the way that he's playing. So I guess I don't expect talks just to all of a sudden shut down and then just be like, you know what? Let's just wait until after the season. But I wonder what the quiet part of the negotiation means.
Well, I took that as Poile saying, please stop asking me and don't ever ask Phil again. Thank you. Let's just stop talking about this in the media, and we'll just, we'll let you know. We'll send out an email. That's my guess. Please shut up, everybody. You all be quiet. We'll be quiet, and then we'll come back later again and talk about it when it's done. Hey, but you're probably right. It hasn't affected him, but hey, maybe it has been. Maybe this is a 60-goal season.
Maybe,
but the distraction has cut down on his season. I don't know. I don't know for sure that it isn't.
So how much of a risk is this in your mind? Because look, I think you and I both think that a deal is going to get done, but there's no guarantee. It may not. Like, they may, for whatever reason, Forsberg's side may just not budge, and Poile may not be willing to meet whatever the demand is that Philip Forsberg has. I mean, now the leverage of a trade is gone at this point. How big of a risk is this for David Poile and the Predators? Because I did see yesterday there were some irate Predators fans that he had not been signed and not been traded. And the Suter situation got brought up a lot. I had Jeremy Gover on last night on Preds Insiders. He was not a fan of Boyle either not trading him or signing him by this point. So there are a significant amount of people out there that are upset by this. How big of a risk is this for David Boyle and the Predators?
Well, certainly it's a risk. I mean, it's and I understand that, and it can't be comfortable. I mean, you're right that Forsberg has more leverage now. Forsberg also, like if you want to talk about what you can get, no one knows for sure what he can get on the open market. And again, I still think that year should matter as long as Poyle's able to come to a certain point. But no, it's I think what the risk also is here is that I still think the clock is really ticking, because now at some point, if it doesn't happen and it just maybe sort of goes away and they stop working on it or whatever, okay, let's take a break. You get closer and closer to the playoffs. I think that could be a problem. Like, I think that could be a distraction for him, for them, for, I guess not for Poyle. That's his job, right? Is to sign contracts players. But I feel like you really don't want to be heading into the postseason with this hanging over the team. Maybe it doesn't matter, but there's going to be, at that point, it'll be total freak out mode, because it's like, okay, well, this is it. This is the swan song for Philip Forsberg. So I still think it's urgent, like this week, to try to get it done. I think as each week builds from here, then it looks more and more like, well, it's just not going to happen. And boy, better win the cup now, Preds.
Yeah.
Competitive rebuild better result in a cup this year.
I think there's a lot to that. I think obviously there's risk associated with it. Now, having said that, if they come to an agreement in 2 weeks, ain't much risk at that point. Like David Poyle, he did say yesterday, and I think the quote was, "We're not far enough apart where a deal can't get done." I think was basically what he said yesterday. And, started talking about the magnitude and the size of the contract, which to me was like screaming, yeah, this is going to be an 8-year deal. This is going to be a lot of money. So again, for those out there who think it's not going to be an 8-year deal, I can't see it. So I would prepare yourself for an 8-year deal. We got a lot of your thoughts to get to on the Philip Forsberg situation on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We'll do that next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
This is Phil Tomasino, and this is Smashville.
Cousins put it in front of the score. Tomasino lofts it in. 2-0 Nashville.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network, ESPN 1025, The Game.
The 2022 Major League Soccer season is officially here, and the Nashville SC Stadium nearly complete. Don't miss Nashville SC's home opener May 1st. Grab a seat at nashvillesc.com/22ticks.
The 2022 Major League Soccer season is officially here, and Nashville SC's new home, Geodis Park, is nearly complete. Don't miss Nashville SC's home opener May 1st. Secure your season tickets now. Come on and grab a seat at nashvillesc.com/22ticks.
It's Markdown Madness at Electronic Express. Bring the tournament to your living room with 4K TVs from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. We've also got huge savings in every department. Computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, mattresses, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online with free express delivery on most items. Markdown Madness is going on now at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Spring is in the air, and that means all kinds of fun in the sun is just around the corner. But if you're feeling low energy, if you've put on weight and just aren't getting the gains from your workouts, if you aren't sleeping well and your libido isn't what it used to be, maybe you aren't looking forward so much to sunny days and shirtless weather. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if this sounds like you, we might very well have the answer, because you may very well be suffering from low testosterone. And that, my friend, is something that can be effectively treated to get you back to the guy you used to be. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has treated thousands of men for low T. Our treatment programs are highly effective, with most men seeing results in just a few weeks. Assuming you're like most guys, you'll sleep better, have better workouts, have higher energy, and your sex life might just improve as well. So give us a call. Just $99 gets you a PSA and T-test and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090. Or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
Our fleet vehicle program is a great benefit to all the fleet companies in Nashville. We are able to get their vehicle back on the road a lot quicker than the downtime of most dealers and most general repair shops, simply because we have the transmissions available. We're able to put priority on their vehicles to get them back on the road quickly.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
And now a small business setback, delivered by a kind French stranger.
Monsieur, there was an accident. The windshield of your catering van is, how do you say, kaput? But Progressive has an extensive network of repair shops. Now, we sing about the old days. Brave marin revient de guerre.
When things go wrong with your small business, it's comforting to know you have Progressive Commercial. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Croissance for everyone.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Well, we started apart and are still apart. But, you know, I always joke about these things like, you know, do you have a deal yet? I say, we're almost there. We've agreed on everything except the amount of money. I mean, and again, I don't mean to be smart, but again, there's other things involved in a contract of this size and this magnitude, but you know, we're not that far off that we can't make a deal.
That was David Poyle yesterday at his media availability discussing the Philip Forsberg situation. Not that far off that we can't make a deal. So Poyle seems to be relatively confident that a deal could be done by Philip Forsberg by the time free agency comes around. We'll take your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. I've got some tickets to give away to see Shinedown coming up at Bridgestone Arena on May 4th. Be caller number 3, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to see Shinedown coming up at Bridgestone Arena on May the 4th. Joe, let's go to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Got a texture that says, it's smart by David. If he keeps this production up the rest of the year, then you just pay him what he demanded anyway. If he dips in production, then you get a lower cost because you only got to match whatever someone else offers, which might be less. He would have been traded if David wasn't confident in re-signing him. This is coming from a texter on the text line.
He's not a restricted free agent.
He is not. Also, like at this point, his production is good enough so far this year where he could dip the rest of this year. He's still going to get paid a lot of money. Like he's won that part of it for himself. The contract negotiations, he's going to get paid.
I mean, I guess if he doesn't score another goal the rest of the way, then maybe Poyle shaves a little off, you know. But yeah, it's pretty consistent at this point. I mean, he's got the franchise record. It's March 22nd.
I mean, if anything, he's making himself more money. The way he played last night, 5 points. I mean, come on. Might end up 45 goals this year.
Yep. I mean, so Vingan, and welcome back Adam Vingan, by the way.
Yep.
His piece said, you know, according to Spot Track, he's playing at an $11 million player rate. I'm sure Poyle I'm sure when Poyle reads that, you know, really that'll give him a really good feeling inside. Oh, yeah. How about 8 times 11?
It's a lot of money. It's a big cap hit too. Liam on the text line says, since everyone seems to agree Forsberg will get between 8 and 9 million a year, maybe Poyle made a secret deal with Forsberg based on how many goals he ends up with this season. So it's like, Philip, if you don't get to 40, we're going below 8.5. But if you get 42, 43, we'll go 8.75. I like that. That'd be something.
like a handshake bonus as it kicks in if he gets to 40. All of a sudden, John Hines like, Phil, we're gonna scratch you here tonight. Yeah.
Just rest you for the playoffs.
Yeah, you got 39 goals there. Sits their last 2 weeks.
Got a texture that says, is it not odd in every sport, just about every time somebody's in a contract negotiation, they exceed anything they've ever done? It's coming from a texter on the text line. It doesn't happen every time.
No.
But when it does happen, I mean, look, let's just look around here locally. Harold Landry, contract year, has the best year he's ever had by far. Philip Forsberg, contract year, having the best year he's ever had by far. It's not always that way, but when it works out that way for you, if you're a player, it generally results in a pretty good bottom line for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a coincidence, right? I mean, like this is the year that you are carving out your future in whatever league you're in. I'd also point out that Roman Josi has no such contract issue, and he's having his greatest season, and should be right there to win the Norris. So
yeah, I mean, he might put up 100 points.
Yeah.
It's just absurd. Heidi from Dixon texting in says, maybe if they don't agree on a contract by next year, Forsberg will do a sign and trade because he loves the Predators enough not to leave them high and dry. This is coming from Heidi from Dixon on the text line. So Philip Forsberg saying, you know what? We couldn't reach a deal, but sign me, trade me so you can get something for me. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. It's a nice thought.
I mean, at that point, you could just sign him, and if you're the Predators, not trade him.
And just lie. Just lie.
Yeah. That'd go over well.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, Phil. You're stuck here, buddy.
Oh, shoot. We were supposed to trade you. I lost that guy's number. Sorry.
Don't know what to do with it. Oh, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him, because if you get him signed, then number one, all this goes away in terms of us talking about it left and right. And I'm sure it is a weight lifted off his shoulders. But again, I keep going back to this point, and it just gets reinforced, I think, every game that I watch them play together. Like, you want to sign Forsberg, obviously, just for him by himself and what he brings to the team. But him and Duchesne together right now, like, if this is going to be what they are for the next couple of years, I mean, that totally changes this team. Those two together right now, they're just at a different level. And, I don't know that Forsberg is going to put up 45 goals like he's on pace to do this year every year. And I don't know that the production will be quite the same. But if it's anywhere close, like, this is not only about Philip Forsberg, it's making Matt Duchesne's contract work too. And I'm not saying that it's totally reliant on Philip Forsberg, because Duchesne's done a lot of things this year by himself that have changed the narrative on him. But those two together right now, like, if I'm David Poyle and I'm watching them play on a nightly basis, I'm doing whatever it takes to keep those two together the way they're playing right now.
Well, no doubt. And also, I mean, I guess I'm looking at, I'm sure in these talks with JP Barry, Forsberg's agent, there's a fair amount of discussion about Duchesne and Johansson, as we've talked about, like, their contracts. I think you can look at Duchesne and say, well, this year, first of all, he's making that $8 million. Okay. So what's it's Forsberg having a better year than Duchesne. It's neck and neck, and they're totally tied together. Like, they are both helping each other have great seasons. So, I mean, I would look at his deal. If you're just you can't just look at it in a vacuum, but look at it in this year context. Well, so Duchesne is making $8 million. It's about worth that. The one big difference between these guys is, of course, Forsberg is younger than Duchesne. But, I mean, I think you make the case of your Poyle that it shouldn't be a whole lot more than that per year, based on this year. Now, going into this year, of course, I mean, you're in a huge bind in these discussions because it looked like those deals were just terrible deals. But anyway, I just feel like, I think your number is exactly what it should be. Just give him another $500K a year and call it a day.
Yep. We'll see what happens on that front. I mean, you still got time to work on it. If you're David Poyle, like, I'm picking up the phone today and I'm calling his agent and be like, all right, you want to keep talking? Let's keep talking. I mean, I would think that would be the way that Poyle approaches it over the next few weeks. And I think it's pretty clear. And I think you're right. He wants this to quiet down a little bit from a media side of things and from a public side of things, but it's probably not going to until he gets signed.
I think it gets louder each week. It just like if there's nothing that happens on this for like another week, let's say, then it just looks like both sides have just walked away.
Yeah.
And then, boy, there's still a lot of Ryan Suter quotes from back in 2012 that I'm sure that could be dug up.
So this is going to be what this Predators team is. They make their moves yesterday. Jeremy Lauzon makes his debut last night for the Predators. They make a couple additional minor league moves yesterday. So not much activity at the deadline. This is going to be what they are as they head down the stretch here and try to make a playoff push, try to get in the playoffs and see what they can do there. They're playing well right now. Philadelphia game notwithstanding, they've played pretty well over the course of the last couple of weeks. As you watch them play, and now that we know that this is it, and this is what their team is going to be, what's your confidence level that this team is good enough to make a run in the playoffs? Obviously, we know some of that's going to depend on who they get matched up against. And are you taking on Colorado? Are you taking on Calgary? Right now, they'd be playing Minnesota. Like, a lot of it is matchup based as well, which, by the way, Minnesota adding Marc-Andre Fleury yesterday. So other teams around the Predators making some moves. Your confidence level that this team is good enough to make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good enough. I think it's good to make a deep playoff run. And if it loses in 6 games in the first round, that's also not a big surprise. But I think they've gotten back to, for the most part, looking like the kind of team that they have for most of the year. I guess you could say, I mean, lately it's kind of been a little bit looser, more offensive kind of games. But when they need to be airtight or close to it, and really physical and very playoff-like they can be. And it's not unnatural for them. Like in 2019, the way that's the natural thing to point back to when you want to compare then versus now. It looked very uncomfortable for them to play a game like that in 6 games against Dallas. Yep. It was not their cup of tea. Well, it is now. So yeah, I absolutely think they have a chance. When you have players who are playing at this level, then that's what it's going to come down to me, is those guys carrying that over to the postseason.
We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Predators on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Mild start this morning in the 50s and 60s under cloudy skies. Highs heading to the 70s with windy conditions and scattered showers developing late this afternoon.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
The Metal Gods return. Judas Priest, 50 heavy metal years. The Priest. This Wednesday night, Nashville Municipal Auditorium. Vengeance will be theirs with special guest Queensryche. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com. Judas Priest live.
It was just so sparkly and just white. It's just the purest diamond.
That's Mallory Irvin, Miss America runner-up and 3-time contestant on The Amazing Race, talking about her ring from Genesis Diamonds.
It's my favorite thing I've ever owned in my life, and probably my favorite thing I ever will own unless I get another ring from Genesis.
Mallory has a stunning GIA-certified diamond in a setting that Genesis custom designed just for her.
It was a personalized experience, and they really went above and beyond to make what we wanted to work.
At Genesis, unique rings are our specialty.
What's really awesome about Genesis. I think a lot of girls look at other girls' rings a lot, and you don't want the same ring as the girl sitting beside on an airplane or something. It's really awesome because Genesis has the designers I feel that women want.
Names like Henry Dossi, Viraggio, Tocori, and dozens more.
So you don't get that cookie cutter kind of chain store. My ring is beautiful, but it looks like everyone else's. You get an engagement ring that's one of a kind.
Genesis diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
I highly recommend Genesis.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
They're going to be our jewelers for life.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as your Nashville Predators take on the Vegas Golden Knights this Thursday. Puck drops at 9 p.m., but the party starts at 8:30 with all kinds of specials. See you at headquarters, Beercade, downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
Hockey fans, tune in to Robby and Rexrode every Wednesday morning at 9:30 for expert commentary on the Predators and the NHL with the Preds beat writer from The Athletic, Adam Vingan. Brought to you by the Bank of England Mortgage.
Finding the right person for the job isn't easy. Just ask someone who hired their personal trainer as a caterer.
All right, folks, let's keep this line moving. You there with the tongs. Picking up one Duchess potato at a time will not cut it at my catering table. Drop and give me 50.
But if you've got an insurance question, you can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
Okay, this is what we call the wild mushroom and asparagus dip, and press. Come on, let's get those plates above your heads.
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
So, what is Jared Stillman going to say this afternoon?
You got to play if you want to earn $14.6 million next year.
Oh, brother, here we go.
But I'm done on investing money in dudes that can't get on the field.
Tune in to Stillman and Company, weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
This is some serious stuff right here.
Delivered by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Here is Yossi, the shot to score. Roman Yossi took the little pass from the right circle and put it away upstairs on Gibson and ties the game at 1.
This guy is ridiculous right now.
Yes, he is.
Just on fire. Roman Yossi.
It was a decent game for us. I think good teams find different ways to win. I don't necessarily think it was an identity game for us, but I give the guys credit. Coming out here and as you said, facing a hungry team, and they've had a lot of changes to their team, but they came out fast and hungry, and I just like the way that we stayed with it, and you have to find different ways to win every night, and I thought we were able to do that tonight.
That was Preds head coach John Hines last night after a 6-3 win against Anaheim on the road. Game 1 of a back-to-back. They'll take on LA tonight on the road as well. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Big win for the Predators last night. We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line. Got a text that says, "You're killing me, Rexrode, LOL." That's all the text says. "You're killing me, Rexrode, LOL."
That could mean so many things.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
My devastatingly awesome sense of humor. That's what I'll go with.
Could this be the lip smacker texter?
Oh,
I don't know that it is. I don't know.
That was definitely just a lip smack.
Really?
Okay, how much do I lip smack?
I don't notice it. I really don't.
Listen, I only notice it not in regular conversation, but when I'm editing after the fact and like re-listening to something to make a clip, I'm like, oh, there it is.
I literally don't notice it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm told, sometimes Katie gets mad at me for chewing when my mouth is closed. And I'm like, my mouth is closed. What can I do? Well, I'm hearing sounds of you chewing. Well, I mean, if I'm chewing my mouth open, then, I mean, that's a totally valid criticism. But, like, I can't stop sounds from happening sometimes if I'm chewing food. I don't know what to do. I mean, I don't understand what people are listening to.
Look, I don't even know that that's what he's talking about. There could be, killing him for.
Yeah. It could just be like your takes are so abominable. I must, tune away. I mean,
maybe they really disagree with your stance on Philip Forsberg. The Predators should have traded him the whole time.
There are people who feel that way.
There are.
Please follow up on that text, because now I'm going to be totally self-conscious about the lip smacking.
So let's say that a deal, for whatever reason, it doesn't get worked out between Philip Forsberg and the Predators. And here they sit, free agency rolls around, and he goes out and tests the market. I guess you've still got a chance to bring him back at that point, but he reaches free agency where other teams are able to talk to him. What does this mean for David Poile and the Predators in your mind? Because he said it on Darren Donick and Chase. If Philip Forsberg is a part of your team, that means one thing. If he's not, you're probably looking at a slightly different direction there if you're the Predators without number 9 in the fold. We've talked about the risk associated with it. I still feel good about them signing him, but they may not. They may not be able to come to an agreement. If they can't, what does this mean for David Poile and the Predators in your mind?
Well, it's funny. We tie Forsberg to Duchesne, naturally so. They're together out there. They're like, it's like the Harlem Globetrotters making behind the back passes to each other and, like lobbing dunks to each other. Yep. Maybe if Forsberg can't sign, can they move Duchesne? I mean, like just blow it up now. The competitive rebuild goes to, actually competitive, or, actually rebuild. It's like you got a fork in the road. Which one are you doing? Competitive or rebuild? Because if they can't sign him, look, you still have there'd be a lot of people in that dressing room that would argue against that and say, well, we have a lot of things going. Now you have a lot of space. Go add to it. Keep bringing along the young guys, and this can still be a really good team. But I think you could make the case, if they can't say one, you can make the case that like there will be a new level of angry at David Poile in this town that will surpass what it was a couple years ago, or even, I guess, 14 months ago. And also, it's just a totally different outlook to me. Even though it could still be a solid team, I think you'd have to think more in terms of, okay, resetting things, and again, maybe trying to move one or both of those other big deals that you have.
Got a texter that says if Phil walks away, that's a major failure for David Poile, and I think that's going to be probably the overriding theme.
It's totally fair.
It's totally fair. What we talked about all season long is you got to make sure you get him signed, or you got to make sure that there are assets for him one way or the other. Again, I still feel pretty good about him signing a contract here. I think what David Poile has brought up is right. Like when both sides want to get a deal done, and it kind of feels like they do, then more times than not, a deal gets done in that situation. Not every time, but more times than not, a deal gets done in that situation. So I still feel good about it. But if it doesn't, and Philip Forsberg walks out that door and you don't get anything for him, that's going to be a really, really difficult pill to swallow for a lot of Predators fans. And, I agree. If you don't have Philip Forsberg, it totally changes your team. He's so important to what they do offensively. We've talked about his importance with Matt Duchesne. But if you don't have him, then you're all of a sudden on another search to go find another guy like Philip Forsberg. And I was talking about this last night on Preds Insiders. Like, I understand the idea of, we want to trade for him because we want to make sure you get something for him. But I've said this the whole time. Like, if you trade Philip Forsberg, you are then looking for somebody that comes back in and plays like Philip Forsberg. And look throughout the history of this organization. They are better at drafting defensemen than just about anybody. They can draft defensemen with the best of them. I can go down the list of high-level defensemen that they've had come in and out of here that have been really, really good players for a long time in the NHL. They are very good at drafting goalies. That's probably one thing we don't talk about enough is as an expansion franchise coming into the league, they've pretty much been set at goaltender basically the whole time. Like, they've basically been set at goaltender throughout the entire history of their franchise, which is remarkable that they've been able to do that. Forwards have been a different story. Like, I think they've gotten better in drafting forwards. They've hit on a little bit more over the last 5 to 6 years. But if you go back and look through the history of it, their ability to draft and develop high-level forwards is not close to what they've done defensively or with goaltenders. And look, Philip Forsberg, I know he wasn't drafted by the Predators, he was essentially developed by the Predators. He got over here when he was 18. So I would put him in that category. But really, other than him, I mean, Arvidsson, Fiala's playing really well right now, but he didn't reach his full potential here with the Predators. Like the list is not long of forwards that they've been able to draft that are that high level of guys. So I understand wanting to get something for him, and I understand there are some that think they should have just traded him anyway because he'll never play as well as he's playing right now again. But then you're on a search for another guy like Philip Forsberg, and that has been very, very difficult for this team to come by through the last 25 years.
Right. And it's just you just don't go out and say, okay, another one of these, another one of those. No, I mean, it's just not realistic. And again, I mean, I agree with Poyle on if both sides want to do it, then you should get it done. I mean, here's his quote about Suter, the obvious comparison. Quote, I think it's different here in terms of Phillips' desire to be here. I think with Ryan, the bottom line was he felt the grass was greener somewhere else. I 100% do not think that's the case with Phillip, end quote. Now, what did he think at this exact time back then with Suter? You tell me. Was it writing on the wall at this point even?
Well, look, I can tell you how I felt covering the team, and I never thought Ryan Suter was coming back. I didn't think it was 100% slam dunk that he was gone, but I never in my mind thought, oh yeah, I think that guy's coming back. Of the three, I think Pekka had already signed early in the season. Like I would have ranked them Pekka 1, Shea 2, and Ryan Suter a distant 3. And that's ultimately ended up how it played out. Now, after he left, I mean, Poyle talked about some, conversations that they had at closed doors that made it seem like he wanted to be here. So I have no clue what Ryan Suter said behind closed doors. I can just tell you based on the vibe I had, I never really felt like he was coming back. And it does feel different from this instance. Like I don't have any reason to believe that Philip Forsberg doesn't want to be here. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. And again, I think this season answers that maybe in his mind. I mean, maybe there was some like, ooh, where's this going? And we talked about that. Look, early in the year when we were like, yeah, you should probably trade him. It was looking more like the rebuild path. And then it's looking like, Forsberg, some of his buddies have been traded away. It's just changing now. And, it makes sense for both sides. Well, I think on the Preds side now, you see how well the team has played, even more than how well he's played. I mean, I know it's his career year, but this is still, he's not like outside himself this year. Like, he's good. You always knew he was capable of being a 40-goal guy.
Yeah.
You wondered if he'd be healthy enough year after year. That's, which is still, I mean, something I'd be mentioning if I were David Poyle, and, in the phone call with JB Perry, I'd at least text him,
Yeah.
Hey, remember how many games he missed? Okay. Here, let me add it up for you. But
maybe like a hospital emoji along with it. Yeah.
But I agree. I think Forsberg wants this to get done. He's standing his ground on what he wants the contract to look like, and I don't think anybody should blame him for that at all. It's just a question of someone's gonna have to break down a little bit here.
Our texter has texted back in that says, I'm not supposed to tell him because now you're going to do it even more. So it was about the lip smacking. Texter also says, Robby definitely knows what I'm talking about because I didn't have to mention it. It was definitely what he noticed. I really didn't. I know that's been a theme on the text line at times.
I don't know what to do. I mean, I can try to suck all the saliva out of my mouth. I could do, instead of that, I could be like this. So anyway, and then try to be really dry mouthed when I talk.
It's like you're
I'll work
on helium. Yeah. Adam in Portland texting in says, I don't know if it's the lighting or the wall colors, but watching you guys, it looks like Joe is the devil on one side and Robby is the angel. It's hilarious. Just waking up. No wise sports stuff yet. So now we're going after Joe Rexrode's ability to speak, and someone says he looks like the devil. There we go. It's a great day for Rexrode.
Yeah, the lip smacking demon that I am. Well, there is a weird piece of art behind me, which is kind of freaking me out now that you mention it.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it throughout the show today. Coming up next, some quarterback movement in the NFL in the AFC South. What do we think of the move made by the Indianapolis Colts yesterday? We'll get into that next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. But let me tell you about my friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. You can protect yourself against upsets this March with Bracket Parlay Insurance on FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, all customers can get up to $25 back each day if your parlay of 3 legs or more falls 1 leg short. So maybe you like Gonzaga. That's my pick to win it all. Maybe you like Villanova in their matchup as well. And Kansas. You can take it any way you want to take it. Just build your parlay your way. Parlays are great because you could turn a small bet into a big-time payday. And with cash out, the ball's in your court, so you can close out your bet whenever you want before the game is over. If you're new to FanDuel, just sign up with promo code ROB. Then you can bet the bracket all tournament long. Once again, that promo code is ROB, only on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. If exactly one leg loses, refund issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. NCAA tournament SBK wager required. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Your speaker at home is so smart that even Alexa knows where to find Nashville's best sports talk.
102.5 The Game is Nashville's best sports talk.
Ask Alexa to enable 102.5 The Game. Once enabled, ask Alexa to play 102.5 The Game.
Welcome to 102.5 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey y'all, it's Caroline Fenton, and I want to tell you about my friends over at 312 Pizza Company. 312 Pizza is my favorite place in town. It's family owned and operated, bringing you a slice of Chicago to Nashville. 312 Pizza Company specializes in deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, and all things Chicago style, always made from scratch using secret family recipes passed down generation to generation. 312 Pizza is open every day except for Tuesday and is located in Germantown with dine-in, takeout, and curbside available. Call 615-730-7888 or head to 312pizzaco.com to order. 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe of Darren, Donick, and Chase. I started my radio career as an intern right here at ESPN 102.5 The Game. Now we're looking for our next great batch of interns. You think that's you? Send your resume to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply today.
I'm Pablo Torre, host of ESPN Daily, where every morning we present the best sports story of the day. And ESPN Daily is presented by Supercuts. Supercuts is the perfect way to get a haircut if you're someone who doesn't have time for a haircut. You just check in on the Supercuts app or you walk in for a quality cut. The highly trained stylists at Supercuts can always give you that fresh cut feeling fast. And it's not just any haircut, it's Supercuts. Check in now on the Supercuts app or on supercuts.com.
Welcome to Allstate, where saving on your auto insurance is kind of like a joyride. You, your car, and an open Tennessee road. Maybe your best friend, too. The music is chill, and so is the traffic. You and your friend both look over at each other, and then he puts his head back out the window. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Allstate and affiliates offer products and services subject to availability, terms, and conditions.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
NASCAR is back. Kyle Larson returns to Nashville Superspeedway a winner.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in hour number 2 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Mover. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Going to be joined by Mike Wilson from the Knoxville News Sentinel at 7:30. We'll get his thoughts on yet another disappointing end to the season for Rick Barnes and the Tennessee Vols. That's coming up at 7:30. Charles Robinson at 9 o'clock as well here on the program. And Joe, we'll have something pretty big to talk to Charles about coming up at 9 o'clock. Quarterback movement in the AFC South. The Atlanta Falcons trading Matt Ryan to the Indianapolis Colts in exchange for a 2022 third-round draft pick. So not a high price paid for Matt Ryan either. The Colts have found their quarterback. What do we think of Matt Ryan as the new quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, and what does this do for how you view the Colts in the AFC South?
I should have been prepared for this because, of course, I put up that poll. I was hoping to have a full 24 hours to see, what people thought about the possibilities for the Colts quarterbacks. But let's see what it ended up with. So we ended up with Titans fans. Which of these quarterbacks would you most like to see in Indy? Most like to see, least afraid of. So the quarterback most wanted to see, 569 votes here, Baker Mayfield, 44.6%, Jimmy G, 33.9%, Matt Ryan, 21.4%. But so according to this poll, Titans fans are most worried about Matt Ryan with the Colts. I think I agree. I don't know. I hadn't thought as all that much about Matt Ryan in the last couple of years because the Falcons are so irrelevant and bad that it's sort of like, like you don't watch him a ton.
Sure.
And I've always thought he's still a good quarterback. The Titans went there a few years ago when Marcus Mariota was still the starter.
We'll get to that here in a few minutes too.
Oh, exciting times, baby. Exciting times. And I remember watching that game. The Titans won and the Falcons were bad. But even like offensively, it's like, man, Julio Jones, who was still Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and they're just kind of, so that's just the up close view. Just like, I mean, he was an MVP. He's just not nearly at that level. But I think you could make the case that this is a little bit better than the last two attempts. A little bit. Like, is this version of Matt Ryan right now? How does it compare? Because I think the Wentz thing was he's just a mess. Okay, so get him out of there. He screwed it up. He can do some things that neither the other two guys who are bracketed him can't, but he's just a mess. But compare Matt Ryan right now coming in to Phillip Rivers 2 years ago. Who's better? I think it's pretty close.
I don't think it's that different, to be honest with you. I mean, look, I'll say this. I think the Colts will be a good team with Matt Ryan as their quarterback. I think they'll be in a similar situation that they've been the last couple of years, and that is right kind of on the fringe of a playoff team. To me, that's what they are with Matt Ryan as their quarterback. We'll see what other moves they make in the draft and what happens here. But like, I'm not shaking my boots today if I'm a Titans fan. I think Matt Ryan's a good player. He's 36 years old. I think it's obviously fair to say he's on the back half of his career now. I mean, last year, 3,900 yards. That's a good amount of yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 67% completion percentage. I mean, I think he's a good player. I think this is probably something where a change of scenery could be good for him. But this, again, feels to me like the Colts are they're putting a Band-Aid on the problem, and they just keep trying to strap this Band-Aid on the problem at quarterback. And, whether it's next year or the year after, they're going to be right back to searching for another quarterback. And I still think the Titans are the clear favorite in the AFC South with Matt Ryan as quarterback of the Colts. People may disagree with that, but I think Matt Ryan's a good player. I'm not scared of Matt Ryan if I'm a Titans fan today.
Yeah, some people I think do disagree. I mean, I definitely saw some Colts got Matt Ryan. Colts have a quarterback. That's all they needed, I think it's going to be close. I mean, I think it's, they figured it out. I do think, the thing is, it's like you compare the last guy, and again, after the fact, it's not that big of a surprise, but after the fact, it comes out that, Carson Wentz just wasn't what they were looking for as a leader. Matt Ryan will be that, but so is Phillip Rivers, right? So anything good you can say about Matt Ryan, you can probably say about Phillip Rivers 2 years ago. The one difference, I would say Matt Ryan can still push the ball downfield better than Phillip Rivers can.
Yeah.
And I guess
probably better than Carson Wentz can.
Well, maybe. I mean, Carson Wentz knows how to draw those PIs, man.
Yeah, he does.
But also, it's not like Matt Ryan doesn't throw like the death picks like Phillip Rivers too. So you could make the case that this is the best of the three, but I totally agree with you. It's just another, okay, who can we, okay, how about let's try you. Come on in. I mean, I think it would still probably make sense for them to like try to draft a QB if there's somebody they really like and really try to start that clock. Not like a fifth rounder, like they've done, or like the Titans have done too, like late round flyer, like actually try to find your quarterback in the future. Because I I don't think this is going to be super long term. I mean, they've been bad, so it's also harder. I mean, look, he's passed for before last year. I mean, he had a decade straight of 4,000 plus. He had a couple of years that was right on the cusp of 5,000. The MVP season of 16, his last great season was 2018. 49-24, 35 touchdowns, 7 picks. Rating a 108.1. So, but since then he's been low 90s and mid 20s.
Bless you.
Oh my gosh, I tried to mute myself and I blew it. I hit the click and I blew it.
Bless you, Joe.
Thank you. Sorry, that kind of lip smack? Probably does.
I'm sorry, but just imagine anybody listening in their car and just hearing that right now.
I'm sorry. I felt it coming on and I'm like, mute button. I clicked it, but I was just the mouse was just shy of the mute.
Rexrode is allergic to Matt Ryan as quarterback of the Colts.
But he's, it's like decent numbers, but they've also been bad. So it's, he's going to be on a good team now. He's going to be on a team that has a running game. That's been a while for him since he's had that. And if you remember when the Falcons were great and they blew the 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl, that team had a really good running game, 2 backs who were a problem. And so I'm sure if you're him, you love the idea of having a legit defense helping you and one of the best backs in the league behind you. If you're him, you got to feel like, okay, I'm going to show everybody like I'm still that guy.
I mean, my question is no different than it's really been the whole time with the Colts, and we've talked about it. Like, I think Matt Ryan is definitely safer than Carson Wentz, but who's he throwing the ball to? That continues to be my question for the Colts. Like, who they got that he can throw the ball to? I think Michael Pittman Jr. is a good player, but Michael Pittman Jr. to me is not a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. Now, maybe it's via the draft. I know they re-signed Mo Alley Cox, so I'm not saying they have nothing in the passing game. But still, to me, if you're the Colts, like wide receiver needs to be a point of emphasis for you the rest of this offseason.
Oh, I totally agree. But I mean, I guess I'd be really surprised if it wasn't. Who else? Because I certainly, again, we've talked about the draft. I think there are a lot of good options in the draft at that position. What about in free agency? Who's left out there? Because they've got space.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Oh, there you go. MVS, maybe that's the answer. It's kind of slim pickings out there. Kind of a little bit surprising. By the way, speaking of money and all that, how about the Falcons? I think they have like $60 million in dead money now.
Yeah, they do.
With this deal, which is just wow.
Largest amount of dead money in NFL history.
Is that confirmed? Because I know on our Slack channel yesterday, there was some question about that. Like, is this absolutely number 1? Okay, well, there you go. Congratulations, Atlanta Falcons.
Way to go, Falcons. Speaking of the Falcons, we'll get to another quarterback move they made yesterday coming up next.
Oh, boy.
Get to more of your thoughts as well on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
Here they come, turn 4, final lap.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe. Join me for Chasing Checkers every Sunday morning at 8, and you can hear some of the big names in racing, like Denny Hamlin.
I always like to undersell and over-deliver.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
It would be amazing to watch a Cup race compete there again.
Kevin Harvick.
I think we learned a lot.
And several others. It's Chasing Checkers every Sunday at 8 on ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The 2022 Major League Soccer season is officially here, and the Nashville SC Stadium nearly complete. Don't miss Nashville SC's home opener May 1st. Grab a seat at NashvilleSC.com/22ticks.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing. Social Furniture on the West Side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
Hey, Darren McFarland here. I want to tell you about this new social sports betting app I've been loving called Wager, W-A-G-R. Rather than betting against the house, Wager lets you bet with other people in Tennessee. It can be your friends, coworkers, or even me. As a special promo for ESPN 1025 The Game listeners, if you're over 21, go to wager.me/DMAC, and you'll get free wagers that you can use to challenge me. That's WAGR.me/DMAC. Join me and challenge your community, not the house. Please play responsibly. Call 1-800-889-9789 for help.
Thinking about making a change? You've put in the years and had success, but ready for something more? Well, good news. Little Guys Movers is looking for folks just like you to own and operate their very own Little Guys Movers franchise. From Broadway to Brentwood to Mount Juliet, if you can hear my voice, there's an affordable, profitable Little Guys franchise opportunity nearby. Use your existing 401k to invest in yourself. Financing options are available. Join a team with 30 plus years of growth and good times. Learn more at littleguysfranchise.com and then make that call.
Your home value is way up. You can use that money now to pay off credit cards or remodel your house, or both. Hey, Willie Donner for Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto can convert that home equity into cash as little as 2 weeks from now with no cost to you and zero hassle. Mike and Joan in Brentwood called Loan Pronto and they did a Loan Pronto zero cost cash out refi. They got a check for $100,000. They used $50,000 to pay off all of their credit cards and a car loan. Use the other $50K to upgrade their master bath and kitchen. They locked in a new APR in the 2s and lowered their total monthly bills by hundreds of dollars. Hello? What are you waiting on? Call Loan Pronto now and convert your home value into cash. Put that money to good use. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or lowpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Any supplier can drop a box outside your door. But if you want a partner who delivers great customer service too, rely on Cintas. Your dedicated service reps can deliver what you need to help your business run smoothly. From essential cleaning products to hygienically cleaned apparel, fire protection services to first aid and safety supplies. That service you can't get from a box.
Oh, I'm ready!
Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
With the second pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Marcus Mariota, quarterback, Oregon.
Oh, yeah, baby. He's back. By the way, Roger Goodell nailed that one, didn't he? Marcus Mariota.
Well, I mean, he was only, the Heisman Trophy winner and clearly one of the top 2 picks in the draft. So, I mean, how could you expect the commissioner of the league to have a freaking clue who he is, It's asking way too much.
Little did we know that would be foreshadowing of many people who have butchered his name over the years. Nobody's quite gone Mariota, though. That was amazing from the commish.
Yeah, he did get that. That's the interesting thing is he got the Mar part, which is what everyone somehow struggles with. But wow.
So Matt Ryan out to the Colts. Marcus Mariota in to the Falcons. He signed a 2-year deal that's basically a 1-year deal. I think $6.75 million is what he'll make in the first year of it. And my guess is they'll probably try to find another quarterback after that, unless he just lights it up. But Marcus Mariota, quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons. And as things stand today, Joe Rexrode, looks like he's going to be the starting quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons, reuniting with Arthur Smith. What do you think of maybe Marcus getting another shot as a starter down there in Atlanta with Arthur Smith and company?
It's pretty exciting, honestly. Now, I don't know how exciting it is for Arthur Smith, who, 5 days ago had visions in his head of Deshaun Watson as his quarterback for the next decade, and now has Marcus Mariota for a year, for a certain year. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. I wasn't sure this would happen. I just wasn't sure if Mariota would actually get a clear chance to start for a team. You knew that if it was going to be a chance, it was going to be a chance to start for a not good team, which is what Atlanta is. I mean, he's going to have to be, he's going to have to be very good. If he is, and he can actually get to the second year of this deal, that means that he will be coming to Nissan Stadium next year with the Atlanta Falcons. Next year is an NFC West year, and you flip flop the home road thing. Falcons are coming here next year, so that's your charge, Marcus. Be good enough to be the quarterback next year, so it can be a grand homecoming 8 years after you were drafted.
In all seriousness, I am excited to see how this goes. He's got obviously a guy in Arthur Smith that he's very familiar with, not just from the offensive coordinator time, but Arthur Smith was there in other roles while Marcus Mariota was the quarterback here for the Titans as well. So I think there's a certain level of comfort there, certain level of familiarity. I'm interested to see how it goes. And if nothing else, it'll be like the old days of ESPN 8 the Ocho and the Riverstone skipping championship. Be like a repeat of that out there for Marcus Mariota. Looking forward to that too in Atlanta.
We're just going to have to hear all these insults, aren't we? This is probably the worst part of it, is now you get a chance to talk about, make fun of Marcus's throwing style over and over again.
Hey, I hope he does well.
What did he ever do to you?
He didn't do anything. Marcus Mariota's a great guy. I've said it many times here on the show.
I don't know. I'm excited for him to get this opportunity. It's been a while since he looked like a legit starting QB in this league. I mean, I guess you'd go back to, he had some really good moments. He had some really good moments in 2018 amid all the injury stuff. And then it really had very few good moments before Tannehill took over his job in 2019. But good for him. It should be interesting. And I don't know that it's like Arthur Smith, the same thing with, like, if you're a Falcons fan right now, what you were, like, there's reports coming out, there's tweets that are getting deleted. It's basically like it's right there, and then it's like, how about Marcus Mariota instead?
Yes. Yes. Neil on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says Atlanta going for that first overall pick. So maybe the Falcons striving for the first overall pick.
Maybe. I don't know. Will they be that bad? They don't have a number one receiver anymore to go with Marcus Mariota. I'm sure he'll like throwing to Kyle Pitts. I don't know. I mean, they're in quite a treat of a division right now on the quarterback front.
Yes, they are.
I mean, is Mariota the second best quarterback in the NFC South? I think you could make a strong case for that.
No.
You got, Winston's probably better at this point. Yeah.
Yes.
But that's always
third,
that's
maybe.
great.
Yeah.
Well, but that's been the debate, hasn't it? It's been the debate. Winston, Mariota, since they went 1-2. So now we will again get to see them go head to head against each other twice, two big rivals.
Yes.
Both of whom have had to settle for both of them because both of them didn't get Deshaun Watson.
That is true. Let's go back to the text line. Got a texture that says, it's weird, but I was born and raised in Tennessee, but I always was an Oregon and a Titans fan. So when Mariota got drafted here, I loved it. I honestly hope the best for him and that the second chance proof will happen this time for him in Atlanta. So maybe, look, this could be a chance for him if he plays well, whether it's in Atlanta or elsewhere. This could be a career kind of changing moment for him. He's still, I know it feels like he's been around forever. He's not old. I mean, he's got plenty of time that he could be a quarterback in this league. This is a big year for him.
Yeah, look, it's a great chance to start. It's not the ideal conditions. I mean, we don't know what else they're going to do to add to their roster. They need to do a lot. I mean, they need to get one of those receivers too. And look, they also, maybe the Falcons are going to, in tandem with this plan, to try to draft a QB. That could certainly be the case. And it could be like, and that's the thing. If you're Mariota, you feel like you have an opportunity, but head on a swivel because they could draft someone. And then in that case, you might not be looking at a year to prove. You might be looking at like a month, 6 games. And then it's like, okay, hand it over to the quarterback of the future. But that's certainly a possibility here. I mean, right now, it looks like he's getting a year to prove it. Let's wait and see what happens with the draft. But it's still, again, I wasn't sure he'd be anything other than a good backup, like a well-paid backup in this league, because certainly he's better than almost all the other backup quarterbacks in the NFL.
Tully in the Borough texting in says, as a Saints fan, I'm thrilled for the Marcus Mariota starting for the Atlanta Falcons. It's coming from Tully in the borough.
Well, and plus you have Taysom Hill, so how could you must feel good every day when you wake up as a Saints fan?
How could you not? Got a texture that says, I would take Mariota over Watson any day of the week. Marcus is a stand-up guy. Watson has red flags on his character all over the place. I don't think anybody would argue he's a stand-up guy.
No, I mean, yeah, if you want to compare, yeah, I mean, Deshaun Watson, the rest of his career, whatever happens with him on the field, it does not change that at the very least, he is an icky human, okay? Now, again, forget the criminal charge stuff. That didn't happen. But, I mean, it's predatory behavior, okay? And that's always going to follow him. But let's also remind ourselves what this league's about.
Yes. I got another texter that says, I'd rather have Matt Ryan than Ryan Tannehill. So going back to the Colts part of it, I'd rather have Matt Ryan than Ryan Tannehill.
I don't think that's going to be all that remote an opinion, right?
Yeah.
At this point, based on what Tannehill just did, I'm not sure I agree. Like if you made me GM of the Titans, and this is the team I have, and said, okay, same cost, whatever, same conditions. Here's your quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan. Who are you picking? I mean, the thing about Matt Ryan is Matt Ryan has actually done really good things in the postseason. I mean, like it's really not his fault that Kyle Shanahan can't count and didn't tell him to hand off.
Yes.
To win a ring, because he had done enough to win the ring. And Ryan Tannehill has not done those things that he did in the postseason. That's also years ago. That's close. I think I'd probably stick with Tannehill because I know what he, when things are functioning, what he does in this offense. But it's close. Right?
Chip from Mount
Very close.
Oh, it's close for sure. I don't think there's any question. Chip from Mount Juliet texting in says, Atlanta is an awful situation to walk into. Arthur won't last much longer, but he inherited that situation. Mariota is doomed there. This is coming from Chip from Mount Juliet on the text line.
Well, look, if you're Mariota, you've got to be, Arthur Smith. So there's a history there. He knows your skill set. He's really good. And you're getting an opportunity. I mean, you're getting some kind of opportunity to start again, which certainly you had to know was no sure thing. Now, I think Mariota, frankly, again, going back, I don't think trying to overtake Derek Carr was the right move. I think trying to overtake Mitch Trubisky was the right move, but didn't happen. And so the years keep going. Like you said, he's not old, but there was a real chance he was never going to see an opportunity like this. It may not be too long if they draft a rookie, but you got to be excited if you're Mariota just to have any kind of opportunity, because there's also like a low bar of expectations for the team. So if you can scratch out some wins, you shouldn't. I mean, you could help yourself. You could extend it. Do I think Marcus Mariota is going to be the Falcons starting quarterback coming into Nissan Stadium in 2023? Probably not. But it would be a lot of fun. Probably not. But it would probably be a lot of fun if he was. It'd be a great story.
What number is he going to wear? Kyle Pitts is number 8. Is Kyle Pitts going to give up number 8 for Mariota?
No,
I don't think so either.
Maybe how about number 2 to remind everybody where he got drafted?
Maybe so.
Make a statement.
Coming up next, we'll be joined by Mike Wilson from the Knoxville News Sentinel. We'll get his thoughts on Rick Barnes and the Tennessee Vols, another early tournament exit. That's coming up on the other side. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The Titans have been making additions.
The Titans have signed Austin Hooper to a 1-year, $6 million contract.
And subtractions.
So Julio Jones shown the door. Surprise, not surprise.
I'm not surprised.
As free agency is well underway, what's next for the two-tone blue?
You're going to have to make some cuts, and you're going to have to move some money around.
Keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Mucinex presents Trusted Allies of Doctors. Throughout history, doctors have used tools they trust to help them treat your illnesses. But what do they trust when they have a cough and cold? Mucinex, the #1 brand doctors trust.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Corey Curtis, News 2 is our guest. Your reaction, 1 year, $6 million for Austin Hooper.
I think it's a great deal for the Titans. I mean, you're getting a guy who's put up, as you said, some big numbers at a discounted rate, and it's why I know everybody's been panicking, but you don't overpay as much when you sign guys a few days later. You watch other guys go off the board, and you look at some of the numbers, and you're like, man, it seems like they overpaid for this guy, because generally they did. Hooper, if you told me $6 million before free agency began, that he was going to be released and be available for $6 million, I would have said that was a big-time bargain. What would you rather have, Jonnu for 12 or Austin Hooper for 6? I think this is a slam dunk.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution. And Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Parman is now hiring and seeking qualified candidates for construction equipment truck drivers, service technicians, and more. Apply at parmantractor.com or call 615-865-7800. Come be an employee owner with the Parman team, your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. Since their doors opened in 1898 in England, Arkansas, Bank of England Mortgage has been providing down-home exceptional service. Bank of England's success is due to the talent of their loan officers and their access to hundreds of mortgage products at the industry's best pricing. Bank of England Mortgage has 3 Middle Tennessee locations ready to serve you. Go to BOE1214.com or call 615-823-1215. Bank of England Mortgage is a division of Bank of England Mortgage. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS 418-481.
Hey, it's Elijah Campbell from Darren, Donick, and Chase, and I got my radio start right here as an intern at ESPN 102.5 The Game. It was an excellent experience, and we're now looking for new interns. If you think that's you, go ahead and send your resume over to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply.
You're gearing up to get back out on the field, so you ordered ball game essentials like a new glove, cleats, and a jumbo pack of sunflower seeds. And you used your Bank of America customized cash rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards that you put toward the cost of an essential piece of your post-game recovery. A heating pad. Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/more rewarding. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
Tonight,
Right, 2 for 2 with his 3 ball.
it's an Eastern Conference battle in the NBA.
Quick time drop to Mitchell Robinson.
As the Hawks take on the Knicks. Coverage begins at 6.
On ESPN.
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, Trey Wingo here. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Ziegler will fire off the mark. Dickinson the board. And that's it. An unlikely story being written by Michigan in March.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Tough loss for Tennessee against Michigan over the weekend. And to help us talk more about it, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Mike Wilson from the Knoxville News Sentinel. Mike, what's going on, man? How we doing?
Doing well. How are you guys?
We're great. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. So, Mike, obviously a lot of disappointment in Vol Nation right now with the way that the tournament ended for Tennessee against Michigan. What did you make of that game? What do you think happened to Tennessee offensively there? And how do you kind of describe the disappointment level in Vol Nation right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the game, you saw Tennessee's weaknesses, which was the lack of a post scorer or a consistent, reliable post scorer. They had one of those droughts, about 5 minutes without a field goal, which they had a tendency to fall into those moments as well. And then they missed shots, and that's going to cost you this time of year, and that's kind of what happened at Tennessee. But I think, too, you've got to look at the matchup that Michigan presented. With Hunter Dickinson being a big challenge, it definitely prevented Tennessee from being able to use the lineup that they love to use with Fulkerson at the 5. So it was a tough one for Tennessee, and I do think there's a lot of disappointment. It's hard to wrap your head around a team like that didn't make the Sweet 16, especially when you certainly a week earlier were talking about winning the SEC tournament, and is this team deserving of a 2 seed and then didn't get one and then doesn't make it out of the second or the first weekend. So definite disappointment, I think.
So, Mike, this March I was like, it's possible Tennessee will go, at least get to the second weekend. So there doesn't need to be a Rick Barnes column, a column about Rick Barnes in March. And yet it did not happen. And so that is a large part of the discussion now. My question for you on that is there anything in this game that you think Rick Barnes screwed up?
Ooh, I thought John Fulkerson might have played a little too much at points. That was one, because this did seem like a matchup where that wasn't going to be great. I don't know what Tennessee could have done differently on Hunter Dickinson with the other guys they threw in. I think we talked about that the day before, Joe, seemed like he was going to get 20. Seemed like that was going to happen. But, yeah, that was something that I certainly know was prevalent after the game, and I went back and forth on how much blame is to be placed on the coach in that game. And I tend to lean, period, in college basketball to players make shots, players make plays. So I didn't put as much on it as maybe other people did, but I know it does have a great record in March, and that's a long-standing thing, and it's tough not to make it out of the first weekend again with some of the teams that have been here at Tennessee.
So to that point, Mike, do you think that perception and maybe the fact that he doesn't have a great record in March, do you think that may have affected the team at all in the way that they've played, trying to win for Rick Barnes? Because the noise has been pretty loud on Rick Barnes when it comes to the tournament in March.
I don't know if that's a thing. That's definitely something I've never asked any of the players, so I don't know that I can speak to that. It didn't seem to me that they played tight the other night. I mean, you're talking about a team that went 2 of 18 from 3, really didn't play great defense the way they have this season, and went 5 minutes without a field goal, and still was in position to win late in the game. If you get a box out at the end on Terrence Williams, you might end up winning that game. If one Zakai Ziegler three-pointer goes down from the corner, you might win that game. So I don't know if there's a tightness or a gotta win because of this perception about their coach. I don't know if that exists, but I definitely can't speak to it since I've never asked that.
Yeah, see, I do think it exists. And I think that the SEC, and again, I'm not saying directly that lost this game for them, but I mean, I think the SEC tournament, look, everybody, when they win a game, they're excited. They're excited for everybody, excited for the coach. That was so much about Rick Barnes, and it makes sense, right? Because they like him a lot. He pushes them hard, but they have a great relationship with him, as you see all the time, Mike. I mean, it's a great. They got a great situation, a great atmosphere, a great, if we want to say the word, culture around the program. Yes, one of my favorite sports terms. But these guys know. I mean, everybody knows. It's like this massive elephant in the room every time it comes this time of year. And I thought Rick was a little bit preemptively defensive about it without coming out and saying it the other night. And again, I don't know that is a reason for why, but I thought that they didn't play the best. I thought that their defense was really bad early. And I don't know. It's just tough because this happens in the NCAA tournament, right? I mean, how many other teams are sitting here right now out because they didn't make the big shot or they made a terrible turnover or they just couldn't beat this team that they were supposed to be way better. That happens every year. But I feel like this was the team to bury that and kind of brush it aside. And now, when's the next chance they're going to have to do this? Which brings me, after this long blathering segment, to ask you the question: is Kenny Chandler leaving?
I would assume so. He's a guy I certainly thought going into the year was already in pen as a one and done. And, maybe in January, I think there was a point where, even maybe to the midpoint of SEC play, where how Kennedy was playing had me thinking maybe he's better off coming back. But he was so good probably the last 6 weeks, both offensively, defensively. I thought he was the best player in that Michigan game. Took it over at points, did that a lot in the SEC tournament as well. So I think with the way he closed this season, he's definitely out of here.
Mike Wilson on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, Mike, to that point, you brought up the post play and the lack of a post threat consistently for Tennessee. How big of a priority is that? Should that be for Rick Barnes and company this offseason? And do you think the answer to that maybe is already on the roster?
Yeah, to me, that's number one. And that was something I wrote the day after the game. I don't know whether that means you can develop it or whether you have to go and get it in the portal, because they certainly have 4 post guys returning in Olivier Kamois, Brandon Huntley-Hatfield, Uros Plavsic, and Jonas Adu. So you've got 4 guys, and if you see the talent in one of them, you're going to spend the offseason trying to make them that guy for you. But on the other hand, maybe you have to go to the portal, because we've seen Tennessee target portal bigs quite a bit in the past few seasons and not land them. I mean, just in recent cycles, Oscar Tshiebwe was one of those types of people. Walker Kessler was one of those types of people. And you certainly think about either one of those on Tennessee's roster and how different this season probably looks. And it was still a very good season, but probably looks a lot different at the same time. So I think that's priority number one. This was a game where that area of weakness showed up, and they did get 9-9 from Plavsic, which is better production than you necessarily expect going into that. But when Tennessee couldn't buy a shot from 3, they didn't have that ability to say, we're going to throw it down to the post. This guy's going to go and get us a bucket, settle us down, get the offense going. So I think you've got to get that. And I think if Kennedy Chandler is gone, then you've also probably got to add another point guard as well.
What about, Vescovi and James? I mean, they've gotten better and better. They had great seasons. Look, I thought that they were really good throughout the postseason, SEC tournament and NCAA tournament, except, you miss a cutout here. You have a couple shots you'd like back. What's possible for them? And do you think James has any chance of possibly going? I mean, I guess I would advise both of them to go give it a look, right?
Yeah, I think both of them 100% should go through that process. I mean, this is why it exists. It's 4 guys that can go and get the feedback they need and then build on it. And I think Josiah is probably going to get pretty good feedback. I think Santi probably does as well, but I think with Josiah's length, defense, the things that he brings, I think he's definitely going to get some good feedback. My guess is it's going to center around more consistency shooting the ball and also adding a consistent get-to-the-rim element to his offense. Because I think if he adds those, then paired with his defense, you're talking about a pretty lethal player. So I think both go through the process, but both ultimately end up back at Tennessee next year.
Mike Wilson from the Knoxville News Sentinel has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Mike, great stuff as always. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning.
Good. Thank you guys for having me. I miss you, Joe.
It's been hours. I'm actually in your town right now. I mean, I could come by and say hi.
Unbelievable.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you, man.
You bet. Thank you.
We'll come back. We'll react to what Mike had to say there. Welcome more of your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Make sure you tune in later this morning at 8:45 for your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click and wear a pair of tickets to a future Preds home game brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red Weather Alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Mild start this morning in the 50s and 60s under cloudy skies. Highs heading to the 70s with windy conditions and scattered showers developing late this afternoon.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey guys, it's the new year. Are you still struggling with erectile dysfunction? I've yet to meet anyone that enjoys timing those intimate moments around a pill. Well, now you don't have to. The advanced wave technology at Hillside Medical has been shown by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic to restore and even regrow blood vessels. It can improve circulation and eliminate erectile dysfunction. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us in the next 2 minutes and you'll receive a consultation, assessment, and blood flow ultrasound free, plus a special gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. Trust me. This is a $600 value, free to callers now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, get rid of your ED and get that spark back. Call Hillside Medical now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
It's Markdown Madness at Electronic Express. Bring the tournament to your living room with 4K TVs from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. We've also got huge savings in every department. Computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, mattresses, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online with free express delivery on most items. Markdown Madness is going on now at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Did you know that every diamond at Genesis Diamonds is over 1 billion years old? That's before dinosaurs, even before some of the stars in the sky. These elusive stones were originally formed miles beneath the Earth's surface, each one born in a volcanic explosion, yet kept hidden for generations. It's a fact that for every 1 carat diamond at Genesis Diamonds, trained miners blasted through over 200 tons of rock, and skilled experts sifted through the rubble to find the highly sought-after rough diamonds. Then expert cutters spend untold hours shaping and polishing each stone, unlocking its beauty and fire and brilliance. From the hands of the craftsman direct to you, these magical stones are your piece of eternity. Precious, rare, unique, indestructible, and treasured all over the world. Oh, and the unbeatable prices at Genesis Diamonds? They're just a bonus. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Uncompromising quality, unimaginable value.
A show that doesn't pull any punches.
And they win a playoff game and they get to the divisional round and he doesn't give up a sack the rest of the year. I don't give two poops. I'm done.
And has an opinion on everything.
That ref crew that was just terrible. Threw flags on almost every possession.
Jared Stillman hosts Stillman and Company.
Tough guy. He's a really tough guy.
Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6. Delivered by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Well, 1025 The Game this Thursday night for the Preds Bud Light Watch Party at Headquarters Beercade. You can have drink specials, enter to win Preds tickets, and watch the Preds take on the Vegas Golden Knights. It's the Preds Bud Light Watch Party at Headquarters Beercade, located at 114 2nd Avenue South downtown. The puck drops at 9 o'clock. This Thursday night. Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio here with you on this Tuesday morning. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Joe, some quick breaking news in the NFL. Looks like Leonard Fournette re-signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 3 years, $21 million, could be as much as $24 million. This coming from Rick Stroud on Twitter, who covers Tampa Bay. So Brady gets his running back back. Not a huge surprise to me that Fournette goes back to Tampa Bay. Apparently he was looking around at the Patriots as well, but Fournette back with the Bucs. So there you go.
Yeah, good player. Good team. Best team
Avocado
in the
tequila.
NFC South. I feel pretty good. Avocado tequila. That's right.
That's right. So thanks to Mike Wilson for joining us in the last segment. We talked a lot yesterday, Joe, about Rick Barnes and, you know, the perception around him in March and all these things now surrounding the Tennessee basketball program. My question to you is, where do they go from here? I mean, obviously you're coming off a great regular season, an SEC tournament championship for the first time since 1979, and yet another disappointing loss in the tournament in the round of 32. Where do Rick Barnes and this Tennessee basketball program go from here? And in your mind, how difficult is it going to be for Tennessee to put together a mix quite like the one they had with this team, with the amount of freshmen and veteran players that are together and NBA talent like Kennedy Chandler leading the way?
Yeah, well, I think that they can be better. I mean, look, if James, I think he'll probably get some good feedback. I agree with Mike. Probably not enough feedback to say, yeah, you should go. So I think James Vescovy, if you count on those guys come back as seniors, that's two really good seniors. It's great to have. I mean, look, Tennessee could go in the portal and get a big. And certainly if you can get someone the level of an Oscar Tshiebwe or a Walker Kessler, great. But I actually think that there's a lot of potential in what they have already. You know, Brandon Huntley Hatfield is interesting. I think he could be a dynamite player, but now there's a lot of bigs on this roster. And sometimes when you have a situation like that, at least one of them's like, you know what, I can go here and play a lot more. And that's what happens now. So I'm just wondering if they might lose some of those guys to the portal and to someone else. I think Plavsic made huge strides. I mean, Plavsic is so much better now than I thought he'd be based on last year. I'm like, oh boy, this was just a recruiting mistake. And doesn't look like that way anymore at all. So, I mean, Kamwa coming back, like I think they could actually be quite good inside next year. You know, Ziegler's going to be a really good player for the next 3 years. There are still limitations there, you know. He's got to be like close to a 50% 3-point shooter, but I think he can be. Which, of course, if he is that, then you're going to look back at those shots he missed, the wide open corner shots, because Mike's right. If he makes one of those, it's probably a different outcome. But there's a lot to like about them. But if you take Chandler out of that, how do you make up for that? You know, it's just hard to imagine that they will have the same ceiling as a team without him. But as with any of these teams, like the portal movement is so extreme now that, I mean, you just don't know. Like Auburn, and I know they flamed out, but Auburn got way more dangerous when they added Walker Kessler. Kentucky, I know they flamed out. That seems to be a theme in the SEC this year, but they had the National Player of the Year. I mean, Oscar Tshiebwe is going to win the National Player of the Year. He's the best rebounder since the 70s in college basketball. Who knew that? I mean,
and hopefully
Tennessee
he comes back.
And he may come back. And that's another point I was going to make here is, you know, Tshiebwe he finally was able to get the visa figured out and he's making all this NIL money. Well, this Tennessee collective, if I was those guys, I'd be like, hey, Kennedy, you know, let's talk about next year, because I think you're going to see some of that also in college sports. I mean, even on a smaller scale, just because he had his own stuff going. Scottie Pippen Jr. told me before the season he's back because he can do this and he can still, you know, make some money. And I think, by the way, I think he's probably gone when Vanderbilt's done. But that's also could be a game changer. I wouldn't get my hopes up if I were a Tennessee fan on Kenny Chandler coming back, but at least that opens up the possibility of, okay, is there something here to make it worth you staying another year? I thought a month ago, like Mike said, maybe it's just like, yeah, you're just not quite ready. But he started to look pretty ready. And when you start playing like that, there's teams out there who are like, yeah, you got to get in on this kid right now.
Well, I just wonder what's it going to take for him to come back? Like, what sort of feedback does he have to get to declare? Like, is he a top half of the NBA draft guy? Is he a late first round guy? Because if he's a late first round guy, could you make the case to him that you would benefit by coming back and playing another year at Tennessee? I don't know. I'm interested to see kind of what the feedback looks like on him and where he lands.
Yeah, just typically with the NBA, it's like if you're going to be in the first round at all, I mean, that rookie scale, like, you know, the rookie salary scale is such that it used to be if you were the number one pick or something, you get a massive deal. And now, now that it's capped, it's kind of, you know, like being 1 versus 7 versus 16. It's not that big of a difference. If you're in the first round, you get 2 guaranteed years of a contract, which is a big deal to at least have that, like, to have that security. Now, there's still a lot of people, and, you know, Josiah James' parents made this point when he came in, when all these people were talking one and done. And I did a story on him, and they were like, we're thinking 4 years. Like, look at all the people who go and don't get a second deal. Yeah, okay, you got in the first round, or people like you a lot now, but then you weren't ready. You weren't ready to stick in the league, and you didn't get your second deal. And that mistake has been made many times. But I think Kennedy Chandler he's going to be okay. Like, I don't know if he's going to be, you know, like a star or even like a long-term starting point guard in the NBA, but I suspect at least the latter is there for him. I mean, he's got a potential, especially the way he started shooting the ball here down the stretch, to be pretty special.
Go to Twitter. Vince on Twitter says, "You guys are cracking me up, talking like Michigan didn't deserve to win that game. They were the better team, and don't let that 11 seed fool you. They beat the SEC champs without their starting point guard, played a freshman point guard, and Caleb Houston had 0 points." This is coming from Vince on Twitter. We're not giving Michigan the proper respect.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote like multiple graphs the other day about how they weren't an 11 seed. We gave Michigan all kinds of respect already yesterday. Of course they won the game. I mean, I'm sorry that this is a sports talk show in Nashville, Tennessee. So we're talking about the Tennessee Volunteers, a school that is in the state of Tennessee. So we're going to talk about it from the Tennessee perspective. But yeah, Michigan won the game. Michigan made winning plays. Absolutely. Calm down, Vince. You'll be okay, buddy. Enjoy the Sweet 16.
It's going to be okay.
Enjoy the Sweet 16 and don't get all sensitive because a show in Tennessee is talking about Tennessee and not Michigan.
So if you're Rick Barnes and you're kind of viewing what just happened, I mean, obviously, we talked about it yesterday. He's not going to retire. I don't think he's going to continue to coach. How do you kind of rebound from here? Because the narrative is what it is at this point. And, it was this way anyway, heading into this season, but now it's just been magnified even more with yet another NCAA tournament loss. Like it's kind of reached the point to me with similar to Ryan Tannehill and the Titans. Like it doesn't really matter what Tennessee does in the regular season next year. Like it's always going to be about, okay, what do you do come tournament time? Yeah. And, in some ways that's a great place to be as a program, but that's all Tennessee fans are going to care about next year is, all right, well, show it to me come tournament time. What's going to happen there? Because there's not much confidence among the Tennessee faithful that anything is ever going to get done right there in tournament time.
I agree. I do feel like a year ago we kind of had the same discussion. And then you go through a year and they're so good, right? And again, you did have postseasons, and some Tennessee fans have said that in the last couple of days, like, well, there was postseason success, like winning the SEC tournament. It's been since the 70s, and that's true.
Yeah.
But the SEC tournament, NCAA tournament are still not the same thing. So I feel like next year's team is going to be hard pressed to be as good as this year's team was if Chandler is not on it. So, I still think, but that could be like a 5 seed kind of team, top 25 team, good team. And yeah, it's going to be very much, it's a good comparison. Very much. Okay. Let's see it in the tournament. Let's see it in the tournament from you. Tannehill, you guys went 11-6. Okay. Let's see it in the playoffs from you.
Let's go to the text line driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Got a texture that says, "Let's go Hogs. Only SEC team left." Joe, are you going for the Razorbacks to win it all? So are we transitioning from GB Joe to GB Hog? I don't know what it would be.
Woo Pig Joey?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Woo Pig Joey here on the program. You a big Arkansas guy now?
I'd love to see them give Gonzaga a game. I mean, it could happen. I like Arkansas. That's a good team. I would not have picked. That would not have been on my bingo card. Arkansas, the only SEC team left in the second weekend. But
we are all actually St. Peter's Peacocks fans on the program here, and I've made the executive decision on that one.
Oh, I've been a Peacocks fan for at least a week now.
Purdue has a bunch of like 7'4" dudes. So if they win this game, then
listen, that guy is 2 feet taller than me.
Pray to St. Peter's because he's taking the whole thing.
Isn't that insane to think? 2 feet taller than me, that guy on Purdue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I can't see it. But hey, I can't wait to watch him give it a shot.
Woo Pig Joey. Somebody make some t-shirts.
Yeah.
Coming up next, we'll get back into the NFL. What do we make of the moves the Titans have made offensively? How does it compare to last season? We'll get into that next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
No, you blew it. That's what happened. It didn't slip away. You blew it.
The voice of the fan.
The officials had let that game get out of control before anything got thrown.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Preds Report.
Presented by New Nissan.
The Nashville Predators had a bit of a struggle with the Ducks in Anaheim last night, but they broke through in the third period. The game was tied at 2 after 40 minutes, and the Predators moved out in front rather quickly. Philip Forsberg had a goal, his 34th of the year, early in the period, and then he set the Predators' single-season team record with an empty netter. Going after it, Forsberg with Fowler. Forsberg gets it, taps it across, and then comes behind the net and puts it home. An empty netter for Nashville to take a 6-3 lead. So Forsberg with the now Predators club record 35th goal of the year. Forsberg with his 35th, breaking his tie with Victor Arvidsson. Predators win the game by a 6-3 count. Up next, Predators tonight against the Los Angeles Kings.
All the best car deals in Smashville start at Newton Nissan. Visit them at Newton Nissan of Gallatin or Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Gary Ashton here. Most people in Nashville know me as the don't sell without the intel and the guaranteed offer guy. But despite my accent, I'm also 100% guaranteed Nashville. I'm a guaranteed musician, a guaranteed dog lover, and you're also guaranteed to see me at every Titans and Preds game. Guaranteed offer means the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage will sell your house for top dollar with no cleaning, staging, showings, or open houses, and give you up to 90 days to close. So there's plenty of time to find your next home. Guaranteed Nashville means my team lives here and loves it here. We've served Nashville for over 20 years, and we're passionate about helping the people we call neighbors and friends, which is why we've had a long-standing tradition of donating to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. If you're thinking about a guaranteed offer, get the only one that's guaranteed Nashville. Request a no-obligation offer by calling 615-301-1650 or go to GaryAshton.com today. Remember, Gary Ashton, guaranteed Nashville.
Jim Gaffigan Live in the Fun Tour.
When you have kids, you lie to them all the time. You're like, you wouldn't like this ice cream. It's very spicy.
March 30th, Bridgestone Arena. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Produced by Outback Presents.
Zines First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
You're gearing up to get back out on the field, so you ordered ball game essentials like a new glove, cleats, and a jumbo pack of sunflower seeds. And you used your Bank of America customized cash rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards that you put toward the cost of an essential piece of your post-game recovery. A heating pad. Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/more rewarding. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, hour number 3 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Going to be joined by our friend Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports coming up at 9 o'clock. We'll get his thoughts on all things NFL. Matt Ryan moving from Atlanta to Indianapolis. Marcus Mariota, now presumably, for the moment, the starting quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons as well. So we'll get to all that and more, the Deshaun Watson situation as well, with Charles coming up at 9 o'clock. Chris Mason, Preds TV analyst at 9:30. We'll recap a big win for the Predators last night in Anaheim. They win 6-3. Philip Forsberg with 5 points last night as well. And the NHL trade deadline has come and gone. Philip Forsberg still a part of the equation for the Predators. That coming up at 9:30 with C. Mace as well. As always, taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. So, Joe, we've discussed Matt Ryan moving along to the Indianapolis Colts. What we didn't discuss much today yet is the moves that the Titans have made. Bobby Trees, Robert Woods coming over from the LA Rams, Austin Hooper signing at the tight end position. We discussed that yesterday. What do we make of how the Titans offense looks now with the picture still incomplete? There's still free agency that is left. There's still the draft that's coming up. But with the moves that have been made, from re-signing Ben Jones to releasing Roger Saffold to bringing in guys like Robert Woods and Austin Hooper, what do you make of where this Titans offense stands at the moment with the moves that John Robinson and the Titans front office have made?
Well, it's funny looking offseason. You go back to last year, it was like, what could they possibly do to fix this bad defense, Yep. And now it's like, well, defense is all good. What can they possibly do to fix this offense? Certainly nothing will be the splash to match Bud Dupree from last year. Big contract given to an outside linebacker, pass rusher. My question is, will there be a move that looks as good and looks as savvy and cost effective as the move to sign Danico Autry? I mean, I think that's right now among the John Robinson free agent moves of his tenure. I think that's one of the best ones for sure. Just based on, even if he doesn't give you a great year next year. I mean, he was a fundamental part of a really good defense and one of the best pass rushers in the league by the end of the year. So this is more like because I feel like, and I don't remember exactly, but I don't think Bud Dupree was pretty early in the process. Bud Dupree was one of those set the market kind of get after it and give a big deal. And this year has been more, okay, hold off, wait for the crazy money, and then go get Austin Hooper, which I like. Austin Hooper could look next year kind of like Danico Autry. You didn't go big, didn't give big money, but you got a really good player. That's the hope, I'm sure. But then the trade for Robert Woods for nothing, basically, in terms of what you gave up. And all of a sudden, it looks like a better offseason. That's the big question that I have still right now is, how good do the Titans feel? How good should Titans fans feel about the offensive line?
Yeah, that's a big question. And where does Dylan Radunz fit into that equation? Is it going to be at left guard? Is it going to be at right tackle? I still feel like in order for me to feel really good about the Titans offense heading into this season, I need one more receiver. Like, I need another receiver to feel good about. And I think at this point, like, that's probably going to come via the draft. A.J. Brown, Robert Woods, I feel good about. Like, if Robert Woods is going to be healthy, I think that's a really good 1-2 punch to have with A.J. Brown and Robert Woods. I would really like a third guy in there, whether that be in the slot or just a third guy that they feel like is the top-rated wide receiver on their board. I know with some people, the addition of Robert Woods has maybe shifted the way that they view the first-round draft pick and what position to take. And I guess with me, maybe it has a little bit as well. If they ended up taking a wide receiver with their first pick, you're not going to hear any complaints out of me. I think, look, I'm not saying that you have to copy the Cincinnati Bengals, but part of what makes the Cincinnati Bengals really good is they have three guys that they feel like they can throw the ball to. The more options, the better for Ryan Tannehill in my mind. And I would still like to see another receiver added to this group. And I think it'll come via the draft.
Yeah, I agree. Now, will it be one of those top guys early, or will it be a fourth rounder? I don't know. I mean, I would, although there are other needs, I would make the case to get another young top shelf, prospect at receiver. And then you could really have an intriguing offense for sure. If you do that, you would be doing that at the expense of maybe getting, an interior lineman you think could be an 8-year player for you and a key, a piece up front, because they need that. They definitely need that. But I guess it's like, what's the drop off from the top, like offensive guards to the middle rounds, and what's the drop off look like at receiver that way? And it's, if you go by your board, if you go strictly by your board, then you go by your board. But I would agree that you got to have one more receiver. I mean, could you be, with let's say one at least of Fitzpatrick or McMath takes a huge step. You have Westbrook-Ikhine, maybe Batson comes back and is healthy. I mean, could you be okay then with that group? Yeah, but I think you need to try to be better than okay.
Yeah. Let's go back to the text line. Matt from Camden text again, says, is there any veteran right tackles left in the market that they could get for $7 or $8 million for maybe 2 to 3 years. This is coming from Matt from Camden on the text line. I mean, there's Marcus Cannon available. He's 33 years old. Brian Balaga, who has seen his best football at this point. He's 33 years old. I mean, there's Dennis Kelly. He's free agent. Go get Dennis Kelly.
I mean, it's not the craziest idea.
Bobby Hart. We know what a big factor he was last year. You can put him at right tackle.
Put him in left tackle.
Yeah.
And win big games with him as your starting left tackle. You know, Jamarco Jones is kind of the swing guy now. You know, it's so hard to answer any of these questions about the offensive line because I don't know what's going to happen with Dylan Radins. I think he's going to get every opportunity, but at this point, how do they feel about that? How important do they feel that he just works at one position? Because I think it was a fair point. Maybe it was TD or it was Corey or TD on our show made the point, you know, did it hurt him that he bounced around? I will say that in camp for a pretty extended period of time, he was playing tackle and he was not playing tackle well. So it's not like they came right out and said, all right, today you're here and now tomorrow you're going to be over there. Like he was there and it kept going poorly in camp and then they moved him around. But they're just not, they are not right now willing to come out and say Dylan Radins is this. But I do think that he's going to get every opportunity to be one of the starting 5 next year. And so if he can be good for you at right tackle, I'm kind of looking at that as like their preferred scenario. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think it's what they want to happen. And that's where I think the interior lineman that you spend a relatively valuable pick on makes more sense.
Got a texture that says we have to take a quality tackle who can come in and play right away. I'm thinking first round, and then you draft a wide receiver in rounds 3, 4, or 5. So maybe people won't be as upset as I thought they might be if the Titans take a tackle again with a high pick. Every year, come on.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe that one texter won't be. So it'll only be 99.999% of the fan base then. Yeah, I don't. That's tough. That's a tough sell, man. That's a tough sell.
Griffin on the text line said this would be a perfect year to have someone like Kendall Wright back. Maybe a quick shifty guy. I don't think he means Kendall Wright like right at this moment.
Not literally Kendall Wright? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But someone like him at the time.
Well, then you get into the slot receiver discussion.
Yep.
Adam Humphries, Cam Batson, Chester Rogers. Does that matter? Do they need someone specific to that? Or, Westbrook or Keenan can go play in the slot. He can play every position, as has been made clear by Mike Vrabel.
And by certain writers at The Athletic.
Well, that's true, too.
We'll continue to take your thoughts on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Got a lot of thoughts to get to on the Titans. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Nashville's own Jason Fitz with Jarrett Stillman and company. Fitz started his sports talk career right here on 102.5 The Game, and now he anchors shows for ESPN. Jason Fitz is brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood. Give local. Give life.
The 2022 Major League Soccer season is officially here, and the Nashville SC Stadium nearly complete. Don't miss Nashville SC's home opener May 1st. Grab a seat at nashvillesc.com/22ticks.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Proud to announce that they have won the Top Gun Award for the best Pella sales organization in the U.S. They have the best culture, best customer satisfaction, and best growth in the business. To celebrate, Pella is offering their amazingly affordable products at 0% financing with no payments for 12 months. Do you need new doors or windows? I suggest you shop with Nashville's Pella experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaofNashville.com.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing. Social Furniture on the West Side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe of Darren, Donick, and Chase. I started my radio career as an intern right here at ESPN 1025 The Game. Now we're looking for our next great batch of interns. You think that's you? Send your resume to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply today.
When it matters, companies need more than just a delivery service. Cintas delivers full service and the reliability that comes with having a dedicated Cintas service rep who understands your business, which means they deliver confidence and peace of mind, too. For uniforms, cleaning essentials, mats, first aid and safety supplies, and fire protection services, discover the personal attention you get with Cintas.
Oh, I'm ready!
Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with a set of Duralast brake pads. It's also AutoZone's national hiring event. We're hiring all positions, from sales to warehouse and drivers, both part-time and full-time. Visit careers.autozone.com or any one of our stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Hey, Ray Magliozzi here. I'd like to carry more parts at my shop, but I just don't have the room. Every time I go in the back to get wiper blades, I trip over a dusty crate of Honda air filters, then bang my head on some GTO radiator hoses. eBay Motors never has that problem. They stock all the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them, with everything from new headlights to vintage gear shifters. I can't imagine being able to stock 122 million parts. I mean, where would I get all those shelves? eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Tennessee's been the top dog for a number of years. I think Mike Vrabel is one of the most underrated head coaches in the NFL because they're not a flashy football team. They're one of those, take the lunch pails, the work type guys punch you in the mouth, and they don't care if they do it by a pretty way. I still think Tennessee with Derrick Henry and Tannehill and A.J. Brown and that defense, they're still first in the division until the Colts prove otherwise. I mean, until you knock the king off the mountain, you can't say they're the best team in the division.
That was Mike Wells from ESPN on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max this morning, and talking about the Colts and the Titans. The Colts are adding Matt Ryan to the quarterback room. How do we think that makes the Colts compared to the Titans in the division? I still think the Titans are the favorite. I look at Matt Ryan and I think to myself, all right, maybe a little bit better than Phillip Rivers, maybe a little bit better than Carson Wentz. He's not prone to the just absolutely brutal turnover that Carson Wentz was prone to. So there is that the Colts have going for them. But if I'm sitting here today and I'm a Titans fan, like Matt Ryan doesn't scare me that much.
No, I agree. Now, the Colts don't necessarily have to have the greatest quarterback in the world to beat you for the division either. I mean, I think it came down to 3 alternatives here. Once Baker went on the block and Deshaun Watson went to Cleveland, and with Jimmy G out there. By the way, the Niners thought they were going to find a nice market for trading Jimmy G, and appears that's a little softer than they hoped.
Apparently so.
I still think of the three, Baker would have been the more, because he's younger, and I like his ability. I think Baker could have been the most problematic long term for the Titans. Also, it could have flamed out. So there's a higher floor, lower ceiling with Baker. With Matt Ryan, it reminds me of the Phillip Rivers thing. It's a safe choice. He's a very good player, has been a very good player for a long time. He is on the back end. I think he's probably better than Phillip Rivers was 2 years ago, but it's hard also to know exactly what's going to happen. I do know that, like, with Matt Ryan, like, unlike Wentz or Baker, like, you know, there's never been anything but full, like, approval rating, right, from Matt Ryan behind the scenes, leadership, all that stuff. So that's obviously something that Colts prioritize after a year of Wentz. You know, the Wentz wagon was a little wobbly.
Yeah.
So that'll be good for them. But I still think, like, Baker could have been, who knows, I mean, Baker Mayfield, I still think somewhere in this league could end up being a really good quarterback and have a lot of years of that. And Matt Ryan is probably going to be the Colts quarterback for 1 or 2 seasons.
Let's go to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Jim from Springfield texting in says, the offseason is looking up for the Titans. The Hooper and Woods signings, along with key re-signings, have Tennessee having the number 9 offseason, according to CBSSports.com. This comes from Jim from Springfield. Overall, what do you make of the offseason so far for the Titans as a whole? Not losing much on defense. You've lost Jackrabbit Jenkins. Cunningham's still here. Harold Landry's still here. Overall, you feeling pretty good if you're a Titans fan about the way that the offseason has gone so far?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you separate it from a lot of Titans fans were hoping that they were going to find some way to move on from Ryan Tannehill. I mean, if you can move past that and understand, as was pretty clear from the start, that it wasn't realistic, then I'd say that they've made some. This has been like a late, 15-2 run to retake the lead late in the game here with these last 2 acquisitions, which actually have improved the offense.
Let's go back to the text line. Caleb from Gallatin texting in. I like what I saw from Marcus Johnson last season. I hope he can stay healthy because he can be an underrated weapon. Do we think Marcus Johnson is back with the Titans? I kind of have my doubts.
I have my doubts too. I look, it was not a mirage in camp, not at all. Every single day out there, he was wearing people out, and he and Tannehill had a good thing. And you saw a little bit of that. You saw it in the Saints game for sure. And he gets hurt again. He talked about it last year. It's been a problem for him. It's just something he hasn't been able to get over. And, for as much as John Robinson, we like to have fun with John Robinson signing injured players. He also will get rid of players who have injuries as a constant thing. Look at Darrington Evans, 2 years for a 3rd-round pick, 2 years of just not being able to get on the field. That's it. Move on.
Yep.
I wouldn't be opposed to the idea of Marcus Johnson getting another crack at it, but you have to be skeptical about him being able to stay healthy, I think.
Got a text that says you have to have a starting caliber tackle in the NFL. It does no good to have 3 good receivers if Tannehill doesn't have time to throw the ball. You win up front on offense and defense. Not every first-round lineman will be Isaiah Wilson. That's great. I mean, I hear that thought. You just drafted a right tackle last year. Should they not maybe take a look and see what they got at right tackle with Dylan Radins?
Right, and that's again, that's where internally, they're not showing their hand. Of course, they're not going to tell us, but internally, how they feel about him is, I think, going to inform that decision. If it's not good, one, that's really bad that you followed up 1st round Isaiah Wilson, which things happen, but you follow that up with 2nd round Dylan Radins, and you're not going to have a starting player out of that. That's bad. That's just, how do you overcome that? If you keep having to draft at the same position high in the draft, you're going to be neglecting other positions. So how do they feel about that? It's going to dictate that. But you brought up the Bengals, who are now shoring up their offensive line.
Yeah.
I think the move to go get a difference-making receiver seems to be the right one at this point.
Ryan in Portland texting in says, what if we trade back and get a 2nd and another 3rd? We can get Sky Moore in the 2nd and then offensive lineman and a tight end in the 3rd. Forgetting like the specific players in the 2nd and 3rd round, what do you make of the idea of potentially trading back if you're John Robinson? That's something that we always kick around this time of year when it comes to the draft. He's not been afraid to move around in the draft before. A lot of times he's moved up in the draft. What do you think of the idea of moving back if you're John Robinson this year?
It's always, I'm always for it if you don't have someone at your spot that you absolutely covet, and someone, but again, It's teams can't just say, hey, I'm going to move back now. All right, see you guys. We're going to go over here to the draft. Like, who wants to get into your spot? If someone does, sure. I think it'd be great to add a pick and get into the second round where, I mean, look, based on history, John Robinson should not stop drafting in the first round because he's also drafted some good players in the first round. Based on history, his second round has been tremendous. So maybe more of that would be good. And of course, Julio Jones took that second round pick away last year.
Got a texter that says, can you explain why the Titans got those extra 2 picks? I would assume referring to the compensatory picks that the Titans received that came out last week.
It's a very complex formula, and I could not fully explain it, but essentially when you lose players in free agency, you get compensated based on production and everything because you lost those players. So that's why they're called compensatory picks. And you can kind of look at how a player did and sort of guess what kind of picks you'll get. But that's basically what it is. You lose players in free agency, you can get extra draft picks out of that.
Which is kind of amazing to me. But yeah, that is what it is.
It is interesting, isn't it? All these leagues with their various rules.
Sean on the text line says, Vrabel said at the combine that Radunz isn't ready to start at this point. That could change, but he sounded unenthusiastic. This coming from Sean on the text line. I mean, he did say that if it was right now, I don't know if I agree with the sounding unenthusiastic part of it. I think they're
I wouldn't agree with that either.
Pretty, based on some of the comments he and Robertson have had, I think they're relatively optimistic for Dylan Radunz as he moves forward here. Like basically what he's saying was like, if they had to play today, yeah, he's probably not ready to be a starter, but their charge is to make him ready by the time training camp rolls around.
Yeah, I didn't come away. I mean, look, the way it was discussed there, I mean, it's kind of the way we look at it too. That's what's funny about this is you can look at a guy in practice and see how he's working on the weight room and the meeting rooms and all that stuff. But a lot of this still is, I mean, they were talking about the San Francisco game. And it's just like, you don't know until you see. I'm sure they had no idea what they were going to get out of him that night. And it was encouraging. So I think cautious optimism is probably the right way to put it. Maybe not. Maybe they're just down the middle and just totally unsure. But they did bring up that night as something that gave them, some optimism for him. It's got to be a huge offseason for him in every way that you can improve yourself physically. He clearly last camp while trying to play offensive tackle could not block NFL pass rushers. So you've got to just your strength, your quickness, your flexibility, all that stuff has got to be maximized this offseason. It's still a big thing. Even though these are pro football players, you can still get better if you want to work your butt off. I mean, don't tell me Derrick Henry's success doesn't have something to do with lifting, boulders with his pinkies.
Adam in Portland texting in says, why does Baker Mayfield have this sudden reputation of a quarterback that's immature and can't play? I've always liked him. He's made mistakes, but he's still pretty young. He went from at home with Baker Mayfield commercials to being public enemy number 1. This coming from Adam in Portland on the text.
Have you not seen some of his babyish behavior? I mean, he is a crybaby.
There's no question.
Now, look, is he a good player? I think so. I think in the right situation, and if he can stay healthy, that was his biggest issue last year. But I think he could be really good. He does have to grow up a little bit. Like, again, if you don't understand why your organization would be looking to upgrade at every position, including yours, if you were the greatest quarterback in the league, well, I guess you could get mad about that. But he's not. So shut up and do your job. I mean, he's had a lot of little outbursts over things where it's like, just okay, man, calm down. So, I mean, I think that's pretty well documented. I do think last year his performance had to have a lot to do with the injury. So where's he going?
I don't know. That's going to be really interesting to see where that lands at this point. We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Got more of those to get to on the other side. We'll also get into a big day yesterday for Tennessee football as well. All that next. Attention men, have you been struggling with erectile dysfunction? Well, Hillside Medical Clinic has a breakthrough treatment for ED that does not require any pills, injections, or surgery. And right now, Andrew from Hillside Medical Clinic joins me to tell us all about it. Andrew, what's going on?
Hello there. That's right, guys. If you're struggling with ED or if you just aren't performing in the bedroom like you'd like to be, Hillside Medical Clinic has a solution. It's called wave therapy. This is helping men all over the country. It uses acoustic waves that essentially open up and regrow blood vessels. You can imagine what that does to life in the bedroom. More blood flow, no more erectile dysfunction, and thank goodness we do it without the use of pills.
And Andrew, what kinds of clinical studies have been done on this new technology?
Are pretty significant. In fact, there are 50 studies now backing our technology from one of the biggest universities in the world, one of the biggest hospitals in America. They say this leads to a clinical increase in blood flow. And frankly, who doesn't want more of that in the bedroom?
And Andrew, you have a special offer if our listeners call in right now.
If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, guys, or if you just want to improve and get rid of the pills, yes, call us now. The exam, assessment, and blood flow ultrasound will be free with zero obligation, by the way. Also, the gift that rarely, if ever, fails. It produces immediate results in the bedroom worth hundreds of dollars. It's free to callers now.
You heard it, guys. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction by treating the root cause of the problem. Call Hillside Medical Clinic right now to qualify for that offer at 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your ED and regain your love life. Call Hillside Medical Clinic at 615-576-5000.
Every Wednesday at 6, we go behind the glass with current and former Predators players, along with coaches and broadcasters for Smashville Live.
Yost, Hal, and I were just talking about last night's game. It was a big game for us.
Presented by New Amsterdam Vodka, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, and Red Spirits and Wine on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Gary Ashton here. Most people in Nashville know me as the don't sell without the intel and the guaranteed offer guy. But despite my accent, I'm also 100% guaranteed Nashville. I'm a guaranteed musician, a guaranteed dog lover, and you're also guaranteed to see me at every Titans and Preds game. Guaranteed offer means the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage will sell your house for top dollar with no cleaning, staging, showings, or open houses, and give you up to 90 days to close. So there's plenty of time to find your next home. Guaranteed Nashville means my team lives here and loves it here. We've served Nashville for over 20 years, and we're passionate about helping the people we call neighbors and friends, which is why we've had a long-standing tradition of donating to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. If you're thinking about a guaranteed offer, get the only one that's guaranteed Nashville. Request a no-obligation offer by calling 615-301-1650 or go to GaryAshton.com today. Remember, Gary Ashton, guaranteed Nashville.
Cheers to you, girl. I know you're excited about the new job.
Oh, thanks so much.
Hey, is that my engagement ring you're wearing?
Don't be silly. Oh, wow. They are identical. How did that happen?
Don't tell me. He went to jail.
Yeah, yours too, I guess.
Wow.
Don't make her settle for one of those cookie cutter rings from the big corporate chain jewelry stores. At Genesis Diamonds, you can get her a stunning one-of-a-kind designer ring, one that's as unique as she is. Genesis has over 4,000 handcrafted rings from world-class designers like Tacori, Verragio, Henry Dawsey, and others. These are designers that you'll never see in one of those mega corporate stores, but we have them starting at under $1,000. So ladies, don't settle for the ordinary, for a ring that will be yours and yours alone. Make sure he goes to
Genesis Diamonds.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Wednesday night.
Tyrese. Oh, the hook shot.
The 76ers head to Cali to take on the LA Lakers.
Beautiful feed. Westbrook to James.
Coverage begins at 8:30
on ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Preds fans, join us for Smashville Live tomorrow night on 102.5 The Game. Smashville Live airs on Wednesdays during the Preds season from 6 to 7 p.m., featuring Preds players, former players, and other special guests. You can watch the show via 1025 The Game's Twitch, Facebook page, YouTube, and Twitter. So be sure to join us for Smashville Live, brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, and Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Chris texting in says, Joe, I don't think you wished your favorite player in WI a happy birthday yesterday. Thought for sure you would have had a cake and party favors. I look forward to you signing him you singing happy birthday to him on the air. We did miss Nick Westbrook-Akina's birthday yesterday. Happy 25th birthday in WI, friend of the show.
No, I knew. I went out to where he and his girlfriend were having dinner. I tried to sing to him, but then they kind of bouncer got involved and walked me to my car. No, I'm just kidding.
Just walked up to him.
But are you kidding, Joe?
Us on repeat.
I actually do have an alibi that I was in Knoxville, so yes, my whereabouts can be verified last night.
Oh, beautiful. I love it. LD from McBenville texting in says, I know I've said it before, but Rexrode's got to be a part of the draft night show. Jared versus Joe on draft night would equal radio gold. It's a good thing you're not busy on draft night.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
You can really get after it.
Thanks for the idea. I'll take that into consideration. Sounds like a blast.
Yeah, yes, it does. Will from Nashville on the text line says, unfortunately, I think the Colts are going to contend for the division now that Matt Ryan's quarterback Wentz is so bad. That's coming from Will from Nashville on the text line.
Yeah, I think they're going to contend for the division too. I figured if they got any of these reputable starting quarterbacks, that they'd be good enough to compete. You said it earlier on the show, Robby, and it still stands, but I think they'll address it. They need receivers badly. I think they need receivers. I think they need to improve. I know they got Ngakoue, and that could work out for them. I mean, he's still a good player, but they need to be better at rushing the passer and at catching passes. And if they do that, it's a good football team. So I agree. They're going to be right there. I think Matt Ryan will at the very least be solid and steady. And I think solid and steady at that position can win you a good 10 games in Indy with that team, maybe more. Yeah. Now, Wentz, again, I agree with moving on from him, and he underperformed relative to what I expected. He did win some games for them. We should remember that. Then he completely, again, the Jacksonville thing is like so hard to understand with this team. And is it all on him? That's the thing. If you're a Colts fan, you want to believe like, get Wentz out of there and that's that. But Frank Reich, like that situation is bothersome, I think, if you're a Colts fan.
Yeah, I think so too. Indy Ben texting in says Matt Ryan is basically a younger, better version of Rivers. So it'll be a close race for the division this coming season. Also, in regards to Radens, he plays much better on the left side, so he'll most likely fill in at left guard with a possibility of being the long-term left tackle once Lawan moves on. This is coming from Indy Ben on the text line. So apparently Indy Ben is a fan of the Matt Ryan move as well.
And Dylan Radens. Should Titans fans be worried that a Colts fan is a huge fan of Dylan Radens? And you may be right. Honestly, I did think about that, Indy Ben, in terms of Radens. Like, is he, even when he was drafted, like, could this be eventually like Lawan's replacement? Long way to go.
Oh, yeah.
Before you would be feeling good about that if you're the Titans. But I agree with you on, look, it's going to be a good division race. If you told me right now, once we get into prediction time, and we don't know what's going to happen with the draft, but you told me right now, like the Colts get a really nice draft pick at receiver and everybody picks the Colts to win the division, I won't be surprised.
No. Paul on the text line says, I can absolutely visualize Joe getting awkwardly walked away from a restaurant singing happy birthday over his shoulder as he walked out the door. We'll see you later, NWI. Hope you have a good night.
NWI.
Oh, beautiful.
Hercules.
Joe, big day for Tennessee football yesterday. They land a 5-star quarterback commitment, Nicholas Iamaleava. I hope I said that right. Iamaleava, I believe is correct. 5-star quarterback from California. He is the number 7 overall prospect, according to 24/7 Sports for the class of 2023, and is also, I believe, the number 4 quarterback. So a 5-star quarterback. This would be, I believe, the first 5-star guy that they land at quarterback since 2002, I believe is right. So we've talked about Josh Heupel and getting a program-changing quarterback. This feels like this could potentially be the guy. If he comes in and stays committed to Tennessee, commits to Tennessee, signs with Tennessee, this feels like this could be the guy that comes in and maybe is that quote-unquote program-changing quarterback that Tennessee has not been able to recruit in a long, long time. Big deal for Josh Heupel and company yesterday.
It's a huge deal in the recruiting world. Huge. You know, I think one service has him as the 4th quarterback, but as the 7th player. So it's not only their first 5-star quarterback, you know, in a long, long time, but also you're talking about, you know, Tennessee doesn't get many top 10 players on that. Now, our quarterbacks maybe a little by those rankings. Sometimes, you know, does it get a little skewed toward quarterback? Well, it is kind of an important position, but look, all indications on him are that he's a special talent. This is also where I warn everyone about, you know, you just don't know. You don't know. I absolutely expect him to sign. I think, you know, this is a solid commitment. I feel very good about that. But, you know, like they've had other big time quarterback recruits, not to this level, but they've had, I mean, Harrison Bailey was going to save the world. My Jared Garantano, when he was still Garantano, get him on the field right now. I mean, you know how it is. And I think it's especially, you know, once you get that player on campus, there's so much. I've seen it in other programs too. So much public sentiment to get that player on the field, and you got to go earn it. So, but I think regardless of how that works out, this should be big for the class. I mean, this is a lot of times what you see with great recruiting classes is that you get that quarterback early, and it makes sense for that to have an influence on players who would want to play with that guy, and to have him now be able to basically recruit for Tennessee. So it's a big deal. And I figured that it wouldn't be long before Josh Heupel hit big at that position based on what we saw last year. How is that not appealing to someone who wants to play quarterback, you know, at the highest level? This offense is, you know, it's fun. It may not be exactly what they do in the NFL, and that's probably what other coaches say. Well, you're not going to be doing this tempo stuff in the NFL, but you are on a heck of a stage, and it's a great offense to be in, and they develop quarterbacks. And so I don't think this will be the last big quarterback commitment they get either.
Well, and with the commitment of Nico Iamaleava yesterday, Vols went from 19th in the country recruiting from the composite to in the top 10 with one guy, one of the top 10 yesterday, according to 24/7 Sports. So, it's a pretty big deal. And, you know, the questions, we talked about it a ton here on the show, like the questions of Heupel being able to recruit. You start recruiting top-level quarterbacks like that, to your point, that's going to help you with the rest of the class. And all of a sudden, the questions about Heupel and recruiting start to go out the window if you land a couple more of these.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, this is if a player like, there's a big if, so much work to go into it, so much we don't know, so many variables. But if some recruits do live up to their ranking, and some recruits exceed their ranking, even if they're highly ranked, you know, if he can do that, if Nico is that guy, you know, that's where you also have a chance to make up some ground on some of these other programs that they still have a lot more talent than you do. And it can be a great equalizer having a great player at quarterback. And they may have that with Hendon Hooker this year. Yep. But in terms of, you think about someone who is prototypical NFL quarterback in terms of measurements and everything, which Hendon Hooker isn't in this offense, and that's got to be pretty exciting.
Got a texture that says, do we have any idea of where Arch Manning will sign? I know that he just visited Georgia, and apparently he liked that. So, look, he's the Georgias, the Bamas, the Ole Misses of the world. They're all going to be involved in that.
I thought there was a lot of momentum that he was going to go to Clemson, but I know that some people are holding out hope that he'll, do most of the family tradition and go to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. There will be plenty of talk about it.
This, according to 24/7 Sports, says Georgia is one of the schools in the running, along with Bama, Texas, Florida, LSU, and Ole Miss.
Oh, so Clemson's out?
Those are the schools that they've listed.
I'm very up on my Arch Manning news. Hey, real quick, I just have to, since we're talking quarterbacks, I don't know what mock draft this is from, but Lane Dixon tweeted this to us, a mock draft, and it said on Kenny Pickett, Monday's Pitt Pro Day revealed that Pickett's hands have somehow expanded.
Yeah, they were 8.5, and now they're like 8 5/8, man. He's making some progress.
He's been like stretching his hands since the combine.
No, that was a big topic on NFL Live yesterday. I think they talked about it for 10 minutes. They're like, I wonder if he stretched them.
He's got rubber bands pulling from both sides. Just getting those things wider a little bit. But 8.5 to 8 5/8.
That's got to make you feel better about drafting him, right?
Probably moved up a couple spots at least, I would say.
If he can get that to 8 3/4, number 1 overall pick.
Oh, no question about it. It is time for Preds Pick to Click here on Robby and Rexrode. Be the first caller at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. The opportunity to guess the goal scorer tonight for the Predators. If you get it right, you win a pair of tickets to a future Preds home game. We'll do that next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Temperatures will warm into the middle 70s today under cloudy skies with breezy conditions. Scattered showers and thunderstorms move through late this afternoon.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
The 2022 Major League Soccer season is officially here, and Nashville SC's new home, Geodis Park, is nearly complete. Don't miss Nashville SC's home opener May 1st. Secure your season tickets now. Come on and grab a seat at NashvilleSC.com/22ticks.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
If you've experienced a concussion, the injury can result in temporary chemical changes inside the brain that can cause it to function improperly. The signs and symptoms may occur immediately or take several days to appear. The experienced doctors at Houston Clinic Orthopedics can diagnose your concussion and get you feeling back to normal with therapy and rehabilitative exercises. If you experience head injury signs such as headache, dizziness, nausea, sensitivity, ringing in ears, or problems with memory, balance, vision, or concentration, visit tn.houston.com to learn more and to book an appointment. Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
At Mitchell's Mr. Transmission, we also offer free towing with any major repairs. If your vehicle has a breakdown and you should need any type towing, towing is available through Dad's Towing Service. Dad's is a professional towing company in Nashville that provides all types towing and recovery, 24 hours a day.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
In growing companies, there are two kinds of CFOs. The one overwhelmed with manual processes, errors, and lack of control of the numbers, and the one who uses NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system. With visibility and control of financials, inventory, HR, planning, and budgeting, NetSuite is everything you need to grow, all in one place. The CFOs that get it. The CFOs that don't. Head to netsuite.com/KJM for a special one-of-a-kind financing offer. netsuite.com/KJM.
Friends, we all reach tipping points in life. The weight of a low-paying job, unpaid bills, a new family. You can't keep going. That's where My Computer Career can help. In just months, not years, they can help you start a new life as an IT pro, even without prior experience. Impossible? You learn online from home. And My Computer Career offers lifetime career services to help you find jobs with companies begging for IT pros. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Sometimes their glass is half full.
That was unbelievable. It was the best NFL draft they've ever had.
Sometimes glass half empty.
What are we getting ourselves into here? Tough game.
And sometimes it's all about the numbers.
One win, and they've gone on this streak, and now they're at 500.
Hang out with Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2 during your workday. Presented by Curation CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
Robby and Rexrode is on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Curve on front, and the score!
Who's going to find the back of the net in tonight's Preds game? Robby and Rexrode make their picks to click and welcome a listener to do the same. Pick to Click is brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka, the official vodka of the NHL.
And it is that time of the day, time for Preds Pick to Click here on Robby and Rexrode, brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka. The Predators in action tonight, taking on the LA Kings. Puck drop at 9:30, pregame at 8:30 here on ESPN 1025 The Game. It is an ESPN Plus night, so make sure you remember that. Keep that in mind. Preds taking on the Kings, second half of a back-to-back. The standings in Pick to Click are as such. Joe Rexrode, everybody winning yesterday. The listeners, me, you, Michelle, everybody on the board yesterday as the Preds take down the Anaheim Ducks, which brings the competition to the listeners in first place with 16 correct answers. Joe Rexrode right behind them with 15, Robby Stanley with 13, and Michelle now in double digits with 10. So the competition is heating up. No question about it. With that in mind, let's go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Kenny from Spring Hill. Kenny, thanks for calling in.
Thanks for having me.
So, Kenny, who is your pick to click tonight for the Preds as they take on the LA Kings?
I got to stay with the hot hand, Forsberg.
I like it. Kenny, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, Kenny going with Philip Forsberg, fresh off a 5-point performance last night, including 2 goals against the Anaheim Ducks. So, Kenny stepping out on a limb, going with Philip Forsberg in the competition. Michelle, you were up first today among us. Your pick to click tonight for the Nashville Predators.
Well, isn't that just perfect? Listen, Kenny told me on the phone he has picked Matt Duchene the last couple times he's called in, and he never scores when he picks him, but he scores when he doesn't. So, perfect. I picked Matt Duchene. Let's hope he scores tonight. Kenny, I also hope Philip Forsberg scores.
There you go. So, Forsberg and Duchene are off the board, as typically is the case in the first 2 picks of this competition. Joe, I went with Yossi yesterday, going the defenseman route. Paid off for me. Got a nice goal in the game. First goal of the game for the Predators. I'm going to go a little bit off the board today. A little bit off the beaten path, as they say. Give me Philip Tomasino. Philip Tomasino, my selection. I like the way he's playing. Had a great play last night to get Yossi the puck. I think Philip Tomasino finds the back of the net tonight. So I will go Tomasino with my pick to click. Forsberg, Duchene, Tomasino off the board. Joe Rexrode, your pick to click tonight.
Funny how I'm last.
Yes, it is.
You literally were first 2 days ago.
He doesn't remember that.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was yesterday, right?
It was yesterday.
My old brain. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, your old brain is spreading on this show. You know what? I'm going to go Yakov Trenin.
Oh, wow. Trenin. I like it. So you and I had Tanner Jeannot and Ryan Johansson and Mikhail Granlund and Roman Josi at our disposal, and none of us went there.
Yes, this is true. I thought about all those guys, and I really thought about Granlund. I just, it's like who's due, who's still, playing well. But yeah, I think Trenin's, I feel good about that, actually.
I like it. He's a good player, man. So the pick to click competition for today, Forsberg, Duchene off the top, like they typically are, coming from Kenny from Spring Hill and Michelle. I went with Philip Tomasino, a little bit off the beaten path today. Joe going with Yakov Trenin as well. So the Preds taking on the Kings tonight in the second half of a back-to-back. Joe, after the win last night for the Predators, at the moment, they are in third place in the Central Division. They are tied in points with the Minnesota Wild. They are 1 point ahead of the Blues, who have 2 games in hand on them as well. So the Predators at the moment in third place in the Central. Regardless, big win last night against the Ducks. They got behind in that game early, 1-0. They find their way to kind of claw back in there. You heard a clip from John Hines earlier in the show. Didn't necessarily think it was an identity game for the Predators as to how he wants them to play, but they found a way to win the game anyway, 6-3. And Philip Forsberg and Matt Duchene continue to just be incredible together. Both of them had scored 2 goals last night. Forsberg ends up with 5 points on the night, 2 goals and 3 assists. Pretty good night from number 9.
I mean, it's just, these 2 guys are just, it's like they're out there just doing trick shots and stuff and just having a good time, and then one of them scores. It's like you almost know for sure the other one is about to score.
Yeah.
I really haven't seen anything quite like this with an NHL team with 2 guys like this. And especially when one of them, so here's I got to find this tweet from Alex Doherty. I think he said 15 points in the last 7 games for Duchene, which is, of course, more than last season. Is that right? More than last season?
Let me double check.
No, that can't be right. That can't be right. I must have read that wrong. Maybe more than, I don't know.
No, he had 13 points last year.
God, that's right. Unbelievable.
He had 13 points in 34 games.
Yeah, the 34 games. But still, my goodness.
I mean, he's at 66 right now, and he's going to end up somewhere in the 80s. Maybe low 90s if they keep playing the way they're playing right now. Like Roman Josi, it kind of felt like just another average night for him last night. And he had 2 points, 1 goal, 1 assist. Now it's 77 points in 61 games. Like he has a chance to break 100 points. Like the 85 to me, like the single season scoring record, like it's basically a given if he stays healthy at this point. He's got a chance to get to 100, which would just be insane for a defenseman.
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, absolutely outrageous. And I know the last night of the broadcast, Willie and C-Mace kind of, we're doing the side-by-sides with Josi and Makar. And, he compares favorably. I still have my doubts based on when you're doing that stuff for like the number 1 seed in a conference.
Yeah.
That gives you a leg up. And when you do some of the ridiculous stuff he does, but then again, Josi does lots of ridiculous stuff too. I mean, if you did a side-by-side of some of the plays both have made, you'd also have a really good competition.
You could have a pretty decent sized highlight reel with the 2 of them this year just by themselves based on the stuff that they're doing. I mean, it's incredible. And now, Johansson's starting to put the puck in the back of the net too. He gets a goal in the power play last night. So he's at 17, which by the way, 17 goals is more than he has ever scored in a season in a Predators uniform before. Now he scored 33 one year with Columbus, but 17 is more goals than he has ever scored in a single season for the Predators. So he's at 47 points, 17 goals in 60 games. He's probably going to end up somewhere around 60 points this year. I mean, that's right about where he needs to be, just based on the way that he's played in his career. And he might hit 20 goals. I mean, we talk about Ryan Johansson needing to get to 20 goals for 5 years. He might actually get there this year.
Yeah, and he could potentially, have his best point season with the Preds too, which was 64 back in the 18-19 season. So, look, one thing about Johansson and Duchene playing like this, if you want to take it to the Forsberg conversation, like Johansson doesn't have a ton of term left. Like, if it does go worst case scenario and you lose Forsberg, I think, like, if you wanted to go full rebuild, you actually probably you may have 2 movable contracts now based on how they played this year, potentially. Whereas a year ago, 0 chance.
By the way, Tanner Jeannot got another fight last night. Are people going to stop doing that? You think that's going to happen at any point where people just like don't fight him? Because he absolutely destroyed this guy last night.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd skate away. That'd be my advice. Not a pro hockey player, but I'd skate away.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll see you later. No thanks.
Borvieski had some punches thrown too.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, this team, they don't mess around, man. They're not afraid to throw the gloves. When we come back, we'll be joined by our friend Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. Busy week in the world of the NFL. We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
Now, you may say, well, a quarterback is more important than a running back. That's fine. You can say whatever you want.
The voice of the fan.
Even if we have to develop him while he's playing, I just want a boring first-round pick.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The postseason fun continues. This is the Commodore Report. I'm Kevin Ingram. We'll start with basketball. The Vanderbilt women's team wins again in the WNIT, using a big second half to pull away from Liberty, 71-45 at Memorial Gym on Monday night. Ayana Moore hit 7 threes and scored 25 points to lead Vandy, which outscored the Flames 40-23 over the final 2 quarters and scored 28 points off 23 turnovers. Coach Shea Ralph.
Just really proud of our team again. Our defensive effort really kept us in there, especially early on when we were missing some open shots and our offense wasn't really clicking as it should be. And then, we had some players come on in the second half.
Sasha Washington scored 17 with a team-high 7 rebounds. Jordan Cambridge had 15 points and 4 steals to set a new Vanderbilt single-season record with 126. The Commodores play again on Thursday in Middle Tennessee. A trip to New York is at stake for Vanderbilt men's basketball as they play in the NIT quarterfinals at Xavier tonight. Pre-game 7:30 on the Vanderbilt Sports Network from Learfield with tip-off at 8 o'clock. Another academic honor for Jordan Wright, one of 10 candidates for the Arthur Ashe Jr. Sports Scholar of the Year Award. The winners will be announced next month. With bad weather in the forecast, Vanderbilt's baseball game with Belmont today has been moved up to noon at First Horizon Park. Unfortunately, no fans will be allowed in due to staffing issues from the schedule change. Weekly honors from the SEC for second baseman Tate Kolwick, named Player of the Week, and lefty Carter Holton is the SEC's co-freshman of the week. That is the Commodore Report on 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
This is Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers. We understand that no one likes to deal with auto body repair and the inconvenience it becomes in your day-to-day life. I want to personally invite you to stop by and let our experienced staff see how we can help you make your vehicle look good as new. Apple Collision Center has 3 convenient locations, Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. Come by and see us or visit us online at applecollisioncenters.com.
The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the Game at 615-737-1025.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final hour of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning. And we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. Charles, what's going on? How we doing?
Doing well, gents. How you guys doing this morning?
We're great. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. So, Charles, Matt Ryan goes from Atlanta to Indianapolis. What do you make of that move for the Colts? What do you think Matt Ryan still has left in the tank?
It's interesting. I think the Baker Mayfield stuff with the Colts was always overblown. I think that was more his pursuit than theirs. And I think the thing about Matt Ryan, it was interesting. I was talking to another team that was in the market for a bridge starter, and we talked a little bit about Ryan, and he kind of compared him sort of to what the Colts had done with Phillip Rivers, but he was somebody who just said, look, right situation, another dome team, right scheme and coordinator, probably a guy that's got a couple decent years left as long as the line can protect him. I think he just described Indianapolis, honestly. And, I think that it gives the Colts the runway of at least 1 year, but probably more like 2 to search for their next starting quarterback. And, just the other options out there. I think this is probably the most experienced guy who's still got talent. And also, they were just remarkably upset at Carson Wentz. That's one thing going through the combine and having a chance to talk to some guys. You could tell, like, they really were. Part of what I had heard was a lot of it was the fact that he hadn't gotten vaccinated for COVID, but then also that it was like he was like influencing other guys on the team, their decision whether or not they were going to get vaccinated, as we saw with the in-season Hard Knocks. Like Quentin Nelson didn't end up getting, he got COVID. He wasn't vaccinated, and they lost him for a portion of the schedule there. And so I think they just want a pro and someone who's not going to cause any problems in the building and very coachable and all these things. And that's pretty much Matt Ryan. I mean, he's pretty much as vanilla as you can get in terms of like a talented, experienced starter.
Well, you said you said this is their bridge quarterback before they, find their new quarterback. Are you sure Chris Ballard isn't just addicted to finding the latest scrap heap guy every year and trying to hit the lottery with one of them? I mean, it's been an incredible. I'm joking, of course, but it is like
I mean,
it's been a few. Yeah,
it's been a few. Look, I think. Particularly when it came to the guys that they've had in there, their assessment's been correct. It hasn't been the right fit. It hasn't been the guy who's going to get into the Super Bowl. And they've tried younger guys. They've tried, guys with experience. They tried someone that, Frank Reich had a track record with in terms of Wentz. I just think that they would have loved to have resolved this with like Matt Stafford. That's, it's a team that would have absolutely gotten their hands on Matt Stafford if they had the ability to do that. But they didn't, and they've not been in the race for any of these other major guys changing teams. Russell Wilson didn't want to go to Indianapolis, and, Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to leave Green Bay for Indianapolis. And, Deshaun Watson, they did make a call on Deshaun Watson. It was someone they were interested in, but the Texans are like, come on, man, we're not trading him inside the division. That's just completely ridiculous. So it's not like they didn't poke around the bigger options to just get it done once and for all. It's just they've been on the outside looking in. And in a way, Matt Ryan kind of fell in their lap, because I think for Atlanta, once they decided they were going to go down the road and pursue Deshaun Watson, I think they knew plan B was not going to be Matt Ryan. It was going to be Marcus Mariota, if they could ultimately get their hands on him. So this opened up for Ballard. It was relatively cheap in terms of the experience level. And I mean, look at what Washington gave up for Wentz. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think the assets you got, you basically spent half of them to go get Matt Ryan instead of having Carson Wentz. And I think some people think Matt Ryan's the actual upgrade over Wentz at this point.
Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, Charles, what do you make of the Deshaun Watson situation? Signs a 5-year, $230 million contract, fully guaranteed with the Cleveland Browns. What'd you make of that move?
It's going to be a lot of scrutiny. I mean, the owners' meetings are going to be interesting, because you're going to hear, I think not only does the organization have to address a lot of the tough questions, General Manager Andrew Berry, head coach Kevin Stefanski, Jimmy and T. Haslam, the owners. But I think Roger Goodell is going to get asked about that contract specifically, and not only everything else surrounding Watson, but the contract not only being fully guaranteed. That's one aspect that definitely sent shockwaves through the league. But then the way it was structured to appear to help him avoid any financial penalty in year one if a suspension were to come down the pipeline. That upset a lot of other teams. I was talking to another AFC GM, and he was like, they have to avoid this deal, right? He's like, the league has to avoid it because it's set up to avoid a potential penalty from the NFL. He's like, we can't be allowed to do that, right? And I'm like, I don't think there's an answer to that. But there's also a flip side to this too. Everyone assumes that the NFL is going to wrap its investigation in, the next few months, and then everything, if there's a suspension, will happen in 2022. The NFL doesn't have to do that. There's nothing in the CBA that says when an investigation has to be wrapped up. They could wait into 2023. They could wait until halfway through 2022 and say, hey, we're giving you the Calvin Ridley suspension. It's going to be a year. That obviously would impact the $46 million in guaranteed money in 2023. So, there's a lot still riding on this, and there are a lot of difficult questions that are going to be asked. But there's no question the Browns, they knew this is what we have to do to get this guy. And I think for them, they're sitting there going, if we do 80% of this, if we guarantee 80% of the salary and we still give up the same assets, it's going to be viewed the same way, and we're going to lose. So this was just their all-in push, and clearly they've wanted to resolve the quarterback position in a way that they feel like we don't have to think about this for the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and that's what Watson was about.
So where is Baker Mayfield quarterbacking next season, and where is Jimmy G quarterbacking next season, and how has this picture changed for the Niners in terms of the market they expected versus the reality of it?
Well, first off, the Niners, I thought something that was really interesting. I was talking to somebody with the Browns. I had gone on Robert May's podcast with the Ringer, and I had made the mistake of answering the question of, The Athletic. I made.
Thank you.
Yes, I apologize. I'm surprised you didn't jump me immediately.
I was gonna wait. I was gonna wait.
My podcast mixed up there, so we all have them now. So I'm constantly trying to remember who's doing what for where. But yes, the Athletic Football Show. So I was on there, and he had asked me. We were talking about Cleveland. Or we were talking about Jimmy G, and I said, the funny thing is, in terms of the right fit, like for an offense, the skill position pieces, the protection, all these different things, the right coach for him is probably Stefanski. Like Cleveland fans are like, he's saying they're the front runner for Jimmy G. This is early on. And so someone from Cleveland called me and was like, hey, I'm hearing on radio that we're now the front running team for Jimmy. I said, no, that's not what I said. So we kind of got into this conversation about Jimmy, and this person, his estimation was like, he's like, look, we're not going to bring in a player that's worse than Baker, and that's how they assessed Jimmy Garoppolo. So if he's worse than Baker Mayfield, that means, at least in the eyes of this evaluator, pretty good evaluator, by the way, Jimmy G's probably in line behind Baker now. So that pretty dramatically changes his market, because guess what? Baker doesn't have a market. And the trade assets for Jimmy, good luck. I have no clue what you're getting for him now. And there's just no desperation out there. I think Seattle makes a lot of sense for Baker Mayfield. I'm just kind of curious why there isn't maybe more traction than there has been early on with that. And maybe part of it is that, Baker has to understand that that's actually probably a good place for him to go. But I just don't think the assets are going to be this idea of, the Browns getting like a second-round pick out of Baker or the 49ers getting a second-round pick out of Jimmy G. That ship has sailed. There's just too many seats that have been filled, and there's going to need to be something that happens that creates a level of desperation for a team out there, and I just don't see it right now. It's things are about as dead as they could be when you consider the compensation that the 49ers were looking at. Supposedly Jimmy G was, we got a second-round pick on the table. I'm like, really? Are we sure about that? Because I don't think that was ever really on the table. He would have been moved by now for that.
Charles, how did the Davante Adams situation deteriorate with Green Bay the way that it did? And what do you think of him now with Derek Carr out with the Raiders?
Yeah, what was really interesting about that was so much was focused on Aaron and everything that was going on with Rodgers and the franchise. People sort of forgot to delve a little more deeply into what was going on with Davante Adams and the franchise. And the funny thing was, I think the level of, I don't want to say distrust, but sort of some of the things that Rodgers was talking about with the culture and players and, kind of feeling like you're not part of the organization the way it used to be. Adams apparently was feeling that too. And I think that he just sort of got lost in everything that was going on with Rodgers, and it overshadowed a little bit of the fact that he was pissed. He was not happy with the team. And I think what could have changed that is when negotiations sort of opened on the extension, and they had gone very badly last year. If they had come out of the gate with the money that, the Raiders ultimately gave him, which really is honestly, it's a 3-year deal. If you really look at it, it's a 3-year, a little less than $23 million a year. If they had come out of the gate with that, I think Adams probably is there now, but it would have had to have happened a lot earlier. Instead, it kind of festered, it lingered. Everything was going on with Rodgers. I think that just opened the door for Adams to start to think about maybe going and playing with Carr. And what I was told was, Aaron, he did know before he did his contract extension, he knew Adams was likely going to force a trade, or he wanted to be traded. I think Aaron, though, was optimistic that, hey, this can be repaired. I'm coming back into the fold. We're going to get this worked out. They're going to offer him the money that he needs to be offered, and it'll get all patched up. But at that point, Adams had kind of made up his mind and wanted to move on. So, and interestingly enough, they were in the market for another veteran wideout, and then also I think potentially drafting another player, and that they're definitely in the market now for another veteran wideout. I would look at them as a potential trade target, honestly, going into the draft. If a team decides to unload a pretty decent veteran receiver, they're going to be the first probably franchise that gets called.
Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Charles, appreciate you taking time to join us. Great stuff as always, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, fellas.
Absolutely. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll react to what Charles had to say there, take more of your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
Every Friday at 8:30 on Robby and Rexrode, we talk with the legend, Terry Chris, about all things Nashville Predators, presented by Copper Branch on ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Care has the power to bring kindness where it's needed. It brings out the best in every one of us. It doesn't just see people. It takes time to understand them. It puts the needs of others ahead of its own. And when you start with care, you end up with a very different kind of bank. Truist. Truist Bank, member FDIC.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. Hiller is giving away free vacations for you and your family this month. With every purchase of a new whole home generator or select new HVAC systems, Hiller is giving you a free week-long vacation. With every purchase of a new tankless water heater, they're going to give you a free weekend vacation. And they're giving you a Visa Rewards card to help pay for gas to get you there. Choose from over 400 Marriott, Wyndham, Hilton, or Hyatt hotel properties. Take advantage of this unbelievable deal while you can. These deals are only available for a limited time, so schedule today. Visit happyhiller.com for all of the details.
Coach's Corner Sports Grill, nestled in Spring Hill, Tennessee, is your hometown sports bar. Coaches, players, grandparents, parents, kids, all are welcome. Hang out after a ball game or watch your team win on the big screens. Try their signature hand-patted burgers from the All-American to the X's and O's. Or choose something from the dog pound, such as their chili cheese dog. And don't forget to wash it all down with their 20-plus beers on tap. Coach's Corner Sports Grill, open every day with daily food and drink specials for lunch and dinner. Off Port Royal Road in Spring Hill. Online at coachescornersportsgrill.com.
Parman Energy is your one-stop petroleum solution across all of Tennessee, offering turnkey petroleum solutions for professionals in major industries, serving trucking fleets, construction companies, industrial plants, and more. Whether a large corporation or owner-operator, Parman Energy has your diesel fuel, lubricant, DEF, and equipment needs. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman. Visit ParmanEnergy.com for more info. Your Tennessee petroleum solution, providing totally outrageous customer service.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut-rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Did your brackets get busted? Well, we've got another chance for you to win some great prizes with the 16-team Game Bracket Challenge. Just go to thegamenashville.com/bracket challenge to play for a chance to win a pair of tickets to see Shinedown coming up at Bridgestone Arena on May the 4th. The Game Bracket Challenge brought to you by Coach's Corner Sports Grill in Spring Hill, Days Delta 8, and Wager as well. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. And we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio here with you on this Tuesday morning. Going to be joined by Chris Mason, Preds TV analyst, coming up here in just a few minutes at 9:30. We'll get his thoughts on a big win last night for the Nashville Predators. Thanks to Charles Robinson for joining us in the last segment. Interesting stuff, the Baker Mayfield, Jimmy G part of this. Where are they going to end up? What does the value look like for Baker Mayfield and Jimmy G? Now that Matt Ryan is in Indianapolis, Marcus Mariota is in Atlanta, what does the market look like for Jimmy G and Baker Mayfield, especially from like the San Francisco point of view here? You know, it's kind of gotten to the point where the value that you were probably expecting back from Jimmy G, probably not going to approach that if you're the 49ers. I'm interested, like, who at this point is going out and is getting Jimmy Garoppolo to be their starting quarterback?
Right. And I mean, who would have guessed that at this point, or at any point really, in the year 2022, that Marcus Mariota would be a solidified starting quarterback in the NFL and Jimmy G and Baker Mayfield would not be, but that's where we are. Seattle is an obvious, to me, not for Jimmy G, but an obvious possibility, I would think, for Baker, right? The Jimmy G thing is really like, there's got to be someone who wants him, right?
I mean, you'd think so. Like the Panthers?
The Panthers, right? I mean, the Panthers certainly are better at quarterback if they get Jimmy G.
Yeah.
I mean, and frankly, like if you're the Panthers, you should know that you probably are in a pretty good position, you know, to not have to give up the kitchen sink to get Jimmy G. Like, who else is out there that is totally unresolved at quarterback?
Well, that's the thing. Like New Orleans, they came to a deal with Jameis Winston yesterday. So Winston's going to be back with the Saints. Mariota to the Falcons. So the NFC South was kind of like that, you know, that's that hot spot for teams looking for quarterbacks. And that's been spoken for at this point outside of the Panthers. So we'll see what happens on that front. But like, I'm looking around, like the Panthers make the most sense to me at the moment if it's not going to be the Seahawks. And I can pretty much guarantee you that San Francisco is not trading Jimmy G to the Seahawks.
Right. So Jimmy G to Carolina, Baker to Seattle. I mean, that
maybe they are trading him to the Seahawks. And I'd be like, you know what? Why don't you throw a couple of those interceptions to us?
That's true. Like, sure. Yeah. You guys can have Jimmy. Yeah. No, I mean, we hate to, I mean, it's against our better judgment that we would let a division rival have this wonderful quarterback, but we'll do it because we just like you.
Yeah. We'll make an exception in this instance.
Yeah. Normally we would never do this. Yeah, it's got to be those two spots, right? I mean, Jimmy G is certainly, I mean, he's better than some of the quarterbacks who will be starting this year in the NFL. I mean, look, he's better than Marcus Mariota.
Yes.
I mean, I hate to say anything negative about Mariota because you pollute this show with enough Mariota hate, you know, but Jimmy G is a better quarterback than Marcus Mariota. And yeah, to me, like Carolina, you know, the thing about Carolina is, and I know in the NFL anymore, it's like no one wants to be in quote unquote rebuilding and everybody's always trying to quickly get back. Everybody feels like they should be able to at least get back to like fringe playoff contention, and they're mostly right. Like unless you're like the Lions, you should be able to do that pretty quickly. But it's not like Carolina right now is in some desperate situation where, they're not going to be very good. They're just not very good.
Well, I do wonder, though, from this coaching staff, from Matt Rule, like, is he getting close to the point where he's going to have to start worrying about his job?
Yeah.
And does Jimmy G factor into that? I don't know.
Well, no, Jimmy G, compared to what they have now, okay, they're probably looking at another 5-12 team. Yeah, Jimmy G could get them into the 8-9 range, maybe. Good draft, So yeah,
Christian McCaffrey staying healthy would probably help.
Yeah, but it's getting to the point where, like, when do you stop counting on that altogether? But yeah, that would certainly help a lot. So it's got to be because there's really no other obvious answer out there than those two teams, and that's not great for the teams trying to trade those guys.
Chase texting in says, "Are you guys convinced that Pittsburgh is done at quarterback? They do have Mitch Trubisky. I would assume they're going to draft one too. Maybe Kenny Pickett's hand size and the elevation in that area maybe makes him more likely to end up back in Pittsburgh. But I don't know. If you're Pittsburgh, I would guess that now that they've signed Trubisky, that they're not going to involve themselves in a Baker Mayfield and/or Jimmy G sweepstakes. But maybe they really like one of them. I don't know. I don't know why you'd sign Trubisky at that point.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like Mariota, like, okay, I'm pretty convinced that the Falcons aren't going to do something, but Baker or Garoppolo would be a better quarterback than Mariota, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the Steelers. You've got a guy who I would consider like that's a nice backup to have, and you really wonder about him as a starter. But the fact that you signed him, to me, tells me you're not going to go get Jimmy G. The Baker's not happening. Again, it's like I just rule out the intra-division trades for the most part. So it's an interesting thought. And there was some thought with Jimmy G and the Steelers previously, but I think it's probably going to be Trubisky and a draft pick.
What do you think of Matt Ryan going to Indianapolis? We talked to Charles about that in the last segment. Matt Ryan goes from Atlanta to Indy. Obviously, the first change of scenery in his career. He's 36 at this point in his career. And I think if you look at the numbers, and there have been a few people who have done this the last few days, like they have started to go the wrong way. And there are a variety of different reasons for that. His offensive line's not been good. He hasn't had peak Julio Jones the last 2-3 years. Calvin Ridley was out half the year last year. So there's a lot of things that go into it. But what do you make of the Matt Ryan move to Indianapolis? How should Titans fans feel about that?
I think it's a good move for the Colts, given the situation. And I think that they're going to be, this puts them in position to compete for the AFC South. I think it's going to be a good race. I also think that of the three, I think it's definitely a better move than it would have been to get Jimmy G. And by the way, the reporting around that is they weren't interested. But they didn't even look into it. But I think Baker Mayfield gives you a higher ceiling. He also gives you a lower floor, but he gives you a higher ceiling. I think that of those three options, I think he would have been the most dangerous one. I know some people will completely disagree with that. And I know that he was bad last year. He was also playing when I think some quarterbacks would not have tried to play in some of the games he played in. I think Baker Mayfield still could be a very good quarterback in this league in the right situation. He also needs to mature some. Matt Ryan does not need to mature at all. I think there's going to be a big upgrade in. Like Charles was telling us, it's not only that he wasn't a great leader, he's like disruptive behind the scenes. Like, get out of here. Matt Ryan's not going to be that. Vanilla is probably a good way to describe him, but he's going to be what you want, I think, behind the scenes and in the locker room and everything. And he's just still a good player. It's a good move for the Colts.
Henry texting in says, so does Baker Mayfield do commercials for regressive insurance now? Not progressive, regressive. Nice, Henry. That's good stuff.
Good wordplay, Henry.
Wherever he ends up, I hope that there needs to be a commercial filmed of him like walking out of the Browns stadium and we're into wherever the new stadium is. That is, I will say, I'm not a huge Baker Mayfield fan. I do enjoy the Baker Mayfield commercials.
I do too. And he's good in the Heisman House commercials. So, It's not all bad with Baker.
I got a text that says, give me Baker or Jimmy over Tannehill. I'd even take Billy Volek or Ruster Smith over him at this point. That's where we've reached with Titans fans. Billy Volek or Rusty Smith.
Okay, by the way, since we're talking Tannehill, and Gentry just mentioned, Gentry S has said, I see Tannehill trending, and of course I'm going to click on it. And apparently he's trending because of the A.J. Brown tweet. Did you see the A.J. Brown tweet?
A.J. tweets so much that I can't keep up. What'd he say?
So the A.J. Brown tweet is, there's the NFL tweet, says Falcons agree to terms on a 2-year contract, Marcus Mariota. A.J. Brown quote tweets it and said, best leader I've ever been around, with an exclamation point. So, some people are going to run with that on, he's taking a shot at Tannehill.
And it's been deleted since. A.J. Brown's pretty good at deleting tweets too.
See, so right there, don't delete it, dude. Everybody is already talking. It's already in headlines. Don't delete it, because when you delete it, to me, it could mean that you actually did mean that, and now you were hoping people forget. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying best leader I've ever been around. People love Mariota, and A.J. Brown loved him. I saw that firsthand his rookie year. So it's not a shot at Tannehill. I really don't think at all that it was a shot at Tannehill. But now I guess you could look at him deleting it as being like, I didn't think it through, and people are taking it the wrong way, so I just want to delete it. But again, it's already become a thing.
When we come back, we'll be joined by Chris Mason, Preds TV analyst. We'll get his thoughts on another big win for the Preds last night, a 5-point performance from Philip Forsberg as well. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hi, I'm Jussi Saros, and this is Smashville.
Now here's a try off to the side. What a stop made by Jussi Saros there.
Unreal. You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
It's hockey time in Smashville. Join us at Bridgestone Arena on March 27th and 29th to watch your Nashville Predators take on Eastern Conference competitors, the Philadelphia Flyers, and Ottawa Senators. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Be there for some of the biggest games of the season. It's your Preds taking on the Flyers and Senators this week in Smashville. Don't miss the next golden moment. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seat today.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as your Nashville Predators take on the Vegas Golden Knights this Thursday. Puck drops at 9 p.m., but the party starts at 8:30 with all kinds of specials. See you at headquarters, Beercade, downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back April 5th, and if you haven't been to Third and Home on game day, you're missing out. Third and Home is the newest sports bar in Germantown that overlooks the Nashville Sounds ballpark. From the bar's spacious beer patio, you can see the whole Sounds game as if you were sitting in the seats with a ticket. No wonder it's known as Germantown's bar with a ballpark. Head to 3rd Avenue North and check it out for lunch, a night of brews, or to catch a game. Third and Home is open Tuesday through Sunday. For more, visit thirdandhome.com.
Out on the trail today, I noticed the signs of spring. A purple lilac, a monarch butterfly, crisp, cool air, and fresh, bright sunshine. And all this beauty puts me in the mood to head over to my favorite adult beverage depot, Red Spirits and Wine, where I can load up the wagon with the best wines, whiskey, and brews to wet my whistle. At Red, you'll always find the best selection and value, but their Cracker Jack crew is flat out second to none. Just square-dealing folks and straight shooters with great recommendations, and they never come off like some of those big-talking fancy pantsers that are just totally full of, well, let's just say fertilizer. Red Spirits and Wine is the only place I do my trading, and once you've seen Red, there just ain't no sense in looking elsewhere. It's like British pop singer Billy Ocean once said, no more love on the run. Red Spirits and Wine is the real deal. Open 7 days a week at Highway 70 South and Old Hickory Boulevard. And follow Red on Facebook and Instagram as well. We'll see you at Red.
Hey, it's Elijah Campbell from Darren, Donick, and Chase, and I got my radio start right here as an intern at ESPN 1025 The Game. It was an excellent experience, and we're now looking for new interns. If you think that's you, go ahead and send your resume over to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Paul Feinbaum, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. C. Mace out in California. We're going to try to reach him. May have to reach him at a different time based on the time difference out there as well. So we'll keep you updated on that front. Joe, let's go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Heidi from Dixon texting in says, vanilla Matty ice cream sundaes on the way. Vanilla Matty ice cream sundaes on the way. This is coming from Heidi from Dixon.
Good wordplay, Heidi. It's been a wordplay kind of show today.
It has been.
Is there anybody on the text line, I don't have it up right now, who is freaking out and certain that A.J. Brown was taking a shot at Tannehill?
I haven't seen any.
Okay.
AJ does a lot of indirect tweets, though. The other day when Juju, people didn't know where he was going to go and there was some wide receiver movement, he tweeted something like, thank God, or that's a relief.
Dodged a bullet. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. And everybody was like, oh, my gosh, that's what it is.
AJ on Twitter can be an adventure sometimes.
Well, that I thought that was what he meant, but I could be wrong. I mean, I could be wrong.
I think it may be.
He had I love the gif of the guy like, when the contract for
Christian Kirk. Yeah.
For Christian Kirk. I mean, that also seemed clear. I think that tweet was purely, he loves Mariota and he wanted to praise Mariota. And then you think about it and people are like, oh, so Tannehill sucks as a leader, huh, AJ? Now the truth comes out. And, you probably should have thought it through before you tweeted that because people are going to take it that way. But I honestly don't think that there's any controversy to it at all.
I mean, he played like 6 games with Marcus.
Well, yes, but I mean, again, so I think we've talked about this. I went back, but I'll tell a little story time. I went back into the locker room after one of the worst professional football games I've ever seen. Because this was one of those, like, this could be coming apart. Like, this could be falling apart on John Robinson, on Mike Vrabel, on this season. Who knows where it's going? They're 2-4. They were dog cheeks. Okay. I'm combining the two things. They were so bad and it was embarrassing. And it was like, so basically it was like Mariota is done. So after all the pressers, including Mariota, I went back into the locker room, which is still open. And I was the only reporter in there. And A.J. Brown is bawling and he goes over and like hugs Mariota and he's apologizing to him. And it was like, and then it was super emotional. And it was like, oh my gosh. Again, A.J. Brown's a rookie at this point. So I wrote about that, but I do think about that now. Yeah, it was 6 games, but it was also, he comes in as a first round pick. Here's your quarterback. You go through all the offseason stuff, the summer. So it's still several months together. And people did have that feeling about Mariota. I think that's part of why it was difficult, in terms of divorcing themselves from him. Although there was also the conversation about he needs to be more vocal, right? I mean, actually, I think Tannehill is a little bit. I think to Vrabel's liking. I think Vrabel prefers how Tannehill goes about it because he's a little bit more willing to consistently use the voice. whereas Mariota was very quiet, but also still like, I mean, those guys loved Mariota. Don't be confused, you know?
Well, I agree, but that's why I brought that up, because, you know, loving a guy and a guy being a good leader, two different things. Like, we've heard DeMarco Murray talk about this. We've heard Eric Decker talk about this, like how he needed to be more vocal and lead better. So I guess that part of it doesn't add up to me.
Well, yes. So, but it's not just like he's such a super nice guy, but he's not a leader. He was a leader. I mean, he was, and there were times when he absolutely used his voice. Actually, one time he's screaming F-bombs before they get smoked by the Ravens. So maybe that was like, okay, I'm going to be quiet again now after this. So he had moments where he, like everybody used to talk about, like in the weight room, he was like a beast and like getting after it and you know. So, but yeah, like on a consistent basis, you're right. Those guys brought it up. Maybe there's more times where he needs to take command vocally. So it wasn't perfect, but it wasn't just like super nice guy and non-leadership. It was just a little bit more, or maybe a little bit less, I guess, I don't know, traditional compared to Tannehill. I think Tannehill's really good in that way, but it's also both of them. The one thing they share is, like, if you don't play well, at some point, it doesn't matter what you do. You know, you got to back up whatever you do as a leader with your play.
I'm sure Brian Hoyer has great leadership qualities as well. And then he throws the football. You're like, oh, okay.
And now you're going to take a shot at my guy, Brian Hoyer. Why don't you crap on Kirk Cousins too while we're at it?
I mean, I'm fine with Kirk Cousins being the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings as long as they want to leave him there. That's fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
Is that good enough at 3 for 3?
Yeah, sure.
Good. All right.
Well, you want to rip on Santa Claus? Go for it.
What do you think of Marcus Mariota and this new shot with Atlanta? What do we think this looks like? It's a 2-year deal, and when you dig into it, it's really basically a 1-year deal with an out after the deal. And you know, if he plays well, maybe he can stick around there in Atlanta. But they're probably looking for their quarterback of the future down there. What do you make of this opportunity for Marcus Mariota with the Falcons now that Matt Ryan is out?
It's more than I thought he'd get again in this league. So, you know, look, the city of Atlanta, the Atlanta Falcons fan right now is not pumped up about Marcus Mariota. And I don't think they should be. I'm not saying they should be. But if you're him, you had to be looking at this and saying, will I ever be anything more than like a good backup somewhere with, you know, a chance here and there to make a spot start? Well, here you go. I'm sure he'd feel better if he had Calvin Ridley on the other end of his passes. But he's got a great young tight end, and he's got a guy who he knows well, who's really good at designing offense. And that's why Arthur Smith got the opportunity to coach the Falcons. I mean, Dean Pease, that's another guy, you know. So, like, there's familiarity with these people, some of these people, and it's as good as you could possibly hope for if you're Mariota. And if he can just get them to be okay. You know, I mean, look, Mariota's time here was very much played at the end by injury. There's no doubt about that, right? So maybe all this time away from taking all the hits for the most part on the field will leave him just healthier and better. And there's not that much pressure on him. I mean, yeah, there's pressure to try to keep that job, but most people expect him to be a bridge QB for a year tops, and we don't know if they're going to draft one. So go out and let it rip, man. You know, I say Mariota, you say Arthur, let's do QB run stuff all the time, man. I'm going to be Lamar Jackson in Atlanta.
The big thing with him is, like, I just hope he can stay healthy. Like, that's going to be the big test. I mean, he got hurt last year in a backup quarterback role. I mean, I just hope he stays healthy in what they're doing, because if he stays healthy, like, I would like to see what he can do for an extended period of time when healthy in today's NFL. I don't know. Like, I look at the offense right now. I mean, he's got Kyle Pitts to throw the ball to, and I guess Cordell Patterson, you can do whatever you want to with him, running back, wide receiver, whatever, but not a whole lot there that makes me think Marcus Mariota is going to be overly successful with the Falcons. Now, maybe, Arthur Smith, he's obviously familiar with him. Maybe he can tailor make a game plan for him, and Arthur Smith continues to be a guru down there. But I just look at that offense personnel-wise, and it's not great what Marcus has to work with down there.
Run them 12 to 15 times a game. Just Oregon Ducks 2014. Make it happen, man. You know what? If he's getting hurt, avoiding running as he was here, you know what? Utilize. I mean, the Raiders turned him into, you know, a trick play gadget guy. Just use his best assets. Why the heck not?
Yeah. I got a texter that says, "Who's in charge of getting player interviews? Get AJ on the show. Get after him, Rexrode. Let's go get AJ Brown on the show."
Yeah. Well, we'll see if we can get him next segment. We'll let you know. AJ, regarding your tweet.
Joe, just FaceTime him real quick, okay?
Tell me about your leadership skills and Ryan Tannehill's. How do they mesh together? Why do you hate Tannehill's leadership style?
So do you hope that Tannehill gets cut midway through the season, or are you okay finishing the 2022 season with him?
We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We'll look ahead at the Preds tonight against LA, get into the Philip Forsberg situation as well. He's still here. How much pressure is now on David Poyle? That's coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Temperatures will warm into the middle 70s today under cloudy skies with breezy conditions. Scattered showers and thunderstorms move through late this afternoon.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Men, what if I told you that now you're able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMDformen.com.
Your home value is way up. You can use that money now to pay off credit cards or remodel your house, or both. Hey, Willie Donner for Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto can convert that home equity into cash as little as 2 weeks from now with no cost to you and zero hassle. Mike and Joan in Brentwood called Loan Pronto and they did a Loan Pronto zero cost cash out refi. They got a check for $100,000. They used $50,000 to pay off all of their credit cards and a car loan. Use the other $50K to upgrade their master bath and kitchen. They locked in a new APR in the twos and lowered their total monthly bills by hundreds of dollars. Hello, what are you waiting on? Call Loan Pronto now and convert your home value into cash. Put that money to good use. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or lowpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
So, what is Jared Stillman gonna say this afternoon?
You got to play if you want to earn $14.6 million next year.
Oh, brother, here we go.
But I'm done on investing money in dudes that can't get on the field.
Tune in to Stillman and Company, weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
This is some serious stuff right here.
Delivered by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Well, we started apart and are still apart.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley here with Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Big win for the Preds last night. They win 6-3 against Anaheim. They'll be back at it tonight against LA. Puck drop 9:30 pregame, 8:30 here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. 5 points for Filip Forsberg last night, 2 goals and 3 assists. Obviously, Joe, that means that he was still a member of the team after the trade deadline yesterday. The Predators do not trade Filip Forsberg. Yes, I'm here for great analysis like that. Predators don't trade Filip Forsberg. He has not been signed to an extension either. So what do you make of the spot they're in now with Forsberg? Obviously, he is playing incredible hockey. They're coming down the stretch. David Poile seems to be confident that they're close to signing or at least somewhat in the ballpark of being able to sign a deal with Filip Forsberg at some point down the stretch here before free agency. What do you make of this spot that they're in, and how much pressure is on David Poile in your mind to make sure that this gets done now that the trade deadline has come and gone?
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, of course, to get this done. And I do think that the clock is still, I mean, it's ticking loudly, because I just, if this is like one of those things where it's like, you know what, let's just go apart for a week and just come back to it. I think there's urgency to get this done and just make this a non-story. I mean, Poile said, we're going to quietly work on this, which to me is like, please, everybody, stop talking about it. Don't ask Phil about it. Don't ask me about it. Don't ask each other about it. Don't text about it. Don't tweet about it. Don't TikTok about it. It's not going to happen, man. It's not going to work. And it's going to get louder. And I do think that I still believe they're going to get it done. I just if I'm forced to bet on this, I would bet on the Preds and Forsberg coming to an agreement. But I think at some point, if it goes way deep and now where it's about playoff time and it's still a thing, I don't think that's great for the Preds to still have this hanging out there. I don't think it's great for Forsberg. Maybe he's having this amazing season because it's been hanging out there all year. I guess, you could argue anything on that, but I think it's a really good idea to, now that the trade deadline is over. Okay. If that was actually leverage for Poile,
which I don't think it was, by the way.
I don't think it was a ton, but it's over. So now here it is. He's either signing or he's walking away. Okay. Both sides get it. Both sides know the stakes. Meet somewhere on whatever you're missing and get it done.
Michael on the text line says, when Poile says they're apart, do you think this is within $1 million difference, or is Forsberg asking for more than $10 million a season? This is coming from Michael on the text line. I don't know. I don't know exactly what Forsberg is asking for. With each passing game, as I'm his agent, I'm probably asking for a little bit more based on the way that he's playing right now. I've thrown out a number, 8 for 8.5. So 8 years, $8.5 million per year. Like, I think that's a reasonable contract. Like, there's some that think he can go out in the open market and make like $10.5 million. There's some, you talked about the spot rack that Vingan talked, or was it Vingan or Doherty? I can't remember which one.
Vingan.
It was Vingan threw out there that says he's playing like an $11 million player right now. Does that mean he's going to sign an $11 million contract per year? No, but the production is there this year. I don't know exactly what Forsberg and his agency are asking for. I mean, obviously, it's a number that Poile is not yet comfortable going to. With each passing game, and now that you're closer to free agency and there's no trade deadline, my guess is he gets closer to that number. He's more comfortable getting there at some point. Like, somebody's going to have to give. Either Forsberg's side's going to have to give, or Poile's side's going to have to give, or maybe a combination of the two, depending on how far apart they are. But somebody's going to have to give pretty quickly.
Like, I just can't imagine that this could possibly be more than like 9 flat over 8 years. Again, the 8-year term is important. It's an advantage. If you were David Poile, would you give him 10 over 8, but 0, no movement at all? Like, you could, full ability to move the deal?
I mean, probably not, because when you start,
but you thought about it, you paused.
Well, when you start to get into $10 million a year, if you're to the point where you want to trade him, like nobody's taking the $10 million contract, right? Like if he's bad enough to where you want to trade him, nobody's taking a $10 million cap hit for Philip Forsberg.
That's its own no movement clause.
Yeah.
The number. Yeah.
So
I think I think what you've put out there is exactly what it should be. I think you could argue it's more than, some might pay him and some will argue it's less. So that's good. 8 for 8.5.
Henry on the text line says at this point, they're going to pretty much have to give him what he wants in order to keep him, right? Look, I think everybody's freaking out because the deadline's now come and gone, and they think that all of a sudden Philip Forsberg's just got like this evil grin on his face. And he's like, I got him. Now they're going to have to give me whatever I want. Like, it's still a negotiation. I think there's been progress that's been made. If there wasn't, like, I don't know that David Poyle's holding on to it. Like, as good as he's played this year, like if you're honest with yourself, if you're David Poyle and you think that there's a pretty good chance you're not re-signing him, like, are you still hanging on to him regardless of how he's played this year? Maybe he would have. I don't know. But to me, I walked away from the Poyle press conference yesterday thinking to myself, he seems to be relatively confident that they can get a deal done. Now, again, that may be false confidence. I don't know. But it seems like both sides have at least displayed a willingness to each other to try to get a deal done.
I agree. Now, if the Suter thing had never happened, then maybe it would also be different. The conversation around it would be different. But it did happen. It was 10 years ago, but it did happen. And he addressed that directly. And without having my own knowledge, you were there for that stuff. It seems a lot different.
It is.
Doesn't guarantee that it's going to happen or get done, but it seems a lot different.
Let's quickly go to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com and welcome in Lee from Nashville. Lee, what's going on? Thanks for calling into Robby and Rexrode.
Yeah. Hey guys, I was just thinking if I was Forsberg, he's had some good years, but arguably this is his best year ever. And it's under Hines in a system where he's been a tougher player. He's forechecked more. He's in a system where he's actually thrived a lot more than previous years. I wonder if he's traded somewhere else, he could never do what he's doing now. Of course, if he gets all that money, he probably doesn't care. But I would think if I was him, and I'm going to score 40 goals or more, I'd want to stay in the same system I'm in and sacrifice a little money rather than going to a place where I have no idea how many goals I'm going to score. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think that's a great point. Thanks for the call. I mean, I don't know how, if you're Forsberg, this system and the way that this team is gelling right now, I don't know how that couldn't be attractive to you with the way that you're playing. Could he make more money per year on the open market? Maybe. But again, Joe, that's where the 8th year comes into play. Like, it's going to be pretty difficult for another team to outbid the Predators that way. So I think if you're Forsberg, it's hard to be more impressed, I think, with the way this season has gone from a system standpoint, from an offensive standpoint with you and Duchesne, all those things combined. Like, I don't know how you couldn't feel pretty good about Hines in this system this year.
Agree. And the chemistry of the Duchesne and all that. Again, if a team out there wants to give him 10 over 7, which I have my questions about, I have my doubts that would actually happen. But
me too.
Let's say you're Forsberg or JP Barry say, we can get a team, have a team to give us $10 million over 7 years. Okay. Well, if your contract, Robby, was offered 8 over 8.5, that's almost the exact same number because it is guaranteed. You're going to get that money. And also, let's also remember the state income tax, compared to where that team might be. So your bottom line, even if a team gives you that, which I question, you still are going to end up with more money in your pocket.
Yep.
In that scenario.
It's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, we'll spend a lot of time in the next few weeks and months about Philip Forsberg. That's going to do it for us here today on Robby and Rexrode. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Darren Donick can chase up next. This is ESPN 102.5 The Game.